It's always been Creepshow 2.
The one that we have is great value, so it's a Walmart.
Creepshow 2 also to me just feels like that perfect 80s time capsule. You know what I mean? Like with the Firebird and the second sequence and all that stuff.
The one that we have is great value, so it's a Walmart brand.
It'll flip your lunch tray.
Flip your lunch tray, it will. How is everybody doing? Come on in, take a seat. Good to see everybody. Thank you, Saturn Video. Got us a $5 super chat. We're shocking, we're rocking. It's time for Horror Tunes on Planet CHH. That's right. What is up? Creasefold, Richie Horrors, Kevin Wrightson, Michael Sullivan, Mark Williams, Pat Master, Saturn Video, Don Morton, Zach's Horror House, Cinema Drum, all buttered and ready to go. Alexis Horror. Good to see everybody. Settle in, have a seat, guys. So tonight is a follow-up show to the show we did on Garrett's channel a week ago, I think. It was non-horror movie soundtracks. And we're doing the follow-up on good old Planet CHH. And it's all horror stuff. And I'm excited to see what these guys not only mention, but actually own and things like that. So it's going to be fun. So let's bring out the first, I was going to say contestant, but let's bring out the man who kind of inspired all this, Mr. Garrett, Born to Be Red himself in the house.
Do you know where the fuck you are?
Oh, man.
What is up, homeboy?
What's going on, man? I like your shirt.
Hey, thanks, dude.
I'm in the spirit, too. So
yeah, Shaka! Shaka!
mm-hmm.
I love it.
I see you got the horror posters back up on the wall back there.
Oh, I had to just get them up there for the show, man. I was rushing around like a chicken with my head cut off to get these things back up.
It's a good blend, too. It's a good blend. I like them.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, all right. We got Garrett in the house. And last but certainly not least, we've got the dirtiest player in the game. I got the butter, man.
Gentlemen, good evening.
Boy.
What is going on?
What are you drinking, Ray?
At the moment, is a black cherry IBC. Perfect.
What, is it going to change or something? You said at the moment.
Well, I got blue Gatorade.
Damn.
I have sweet tea.
Damn.
And I have a fruit roll up. So I had Gushers, but I already ate them. So that's kind of a fucking problem. You know what I mean?
That is a problem.
And I'm surrounded by physical media. So this is awesome.
I hear you, man.
I hear you. So it's gonna be a fun night tonight, guys. Like I said, we're gonna go through a bunch of stuff, a bunch of our favorite soundtracks, and I'm excited to get going with this. But before we get going, I wanted to mention something. Garrett, you kind of want to tell everybody what's going on with your channel and everything right now, so we can kind of get people aware of all that.
Yeah, I was gonna do I've been going back and forth about doing a show or live stream talking about it because I'm not one to complain. I'm not one to be like, oh, woe is me. But I got an email yesterday morning basically saying my channel is now demonetized, and nobody really has an answer on why. So I started freaking out. I panicked. I started deleting videos, shorts, anything that I thought could possibly have triggered this. And you know, if you guys follow me over there, you know that I really take it super serious. I really try to keep my content as like clean as possible in the sense that like very professional. Like I try not to go too off the rails with certain things. And, you know, I just really wanted to be a place where people could go and be like, all right, he's giving good content. It's professional looking. And, you know, I really took pride in my channel, and it's only 2 years old, and I feel like I had a lot of momentum with the channel, and now this just really kind of, you know, deflated me a little bit. And because after talking to you, Christian, because I panicked and I started deleting things because I'm appealing it and I want to fix this mess, and nobody knows exactly why. It's like, because I took it upon myself to delete crap, it's basically now like my view count has gone way down, like of my total views, because I got rid of a lot of things that were like, had a lot of views on there. So now, because I did that, I'm basically like I'm like almost like in a weird purgatory with like my videos. When I put something up, it's getting like no views barely. And it's like, I'm in this weird spot right now. And it really sucks because, you know, there was a lot of big things I had planned this year that I still want to do, but man, like if this thing doesn't get resolved, like I don't know what's going to happen with the channel. Obviously, this wasn't something I wanted to do for money, but at the same time, when you're getting rewarded for your content and you just kind of see like that there's opportunities there for a lot of things, it just really bums me out. And again, guys, if anybody's not following me, please do it. And the only thing I can ask right now from everybody is if you go to my videos, my recent videos, and like them or something, because I got to figure out how to get back on this algorithm that I was on that now I've kind of bailed off, and it's just really, you know, it's really sucks. So I definitely appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah. So let's help him out there. It sucks. I mean, Brandon, you yourself probably have dealt with a lot of this, considering you post a lot of clips and things like that. Or what can you tell him in terms of in the future and that kind of thing? Or is it's just a crapshoot? You really can't, you know, guesstimate what's going to happen.
It's sort of a crapshoot because I haven't seen this specific kind of thing happen before. You know, I've seen like copyright things, see videos get taken down, channels get taken down. Either they appeal them and they win or they don't. A lot of my clients at work have gotten their channels shut down because of copyright strikes and stuff like that. But this is such a weird blanket demonetization that I haven't actually seen before, like specifically on my own. But
yeah, it like again, I had 0 strikes, 0 copyright strikes on my account, 0. So from like 0 to all of a sudden it's demonetized, and doing research and stuff, it seems almost now that like YouTube has created bots that maybe will like go around YouTube and kind of try to find things that trigger all. And who knows, like maybe something was flagged through that, and I have no idea, man. But they're working on trying to fix it, and I just hope and pray that like it gets resolved, because it just would be a bummer.
I'm sure it will be resolved. I hope so.
I can't imagine it won't.
I searched a video today when I was at work about it, and I only found one other guy who was talking about the situation. He didn't have a lot of specifics, but he said the same thing that happened to your channel, Garrett, about this all of a sudden everything was demonetized, and it's a big new thing coming down from YouTube. And I'm like, oh great, more fucking changes. It's probably going to affect everybody down the road. So
yeah, it's maybe I was just wrong place, the wrong time, I guess, and I'm just hoping that they do it right and realize that it was a mistake, or maybe something that triggered it I've deleted by then. But it just is a bummer, because there's really no answer of like what video did it or what exactly I was doing. It just basically said, we found some of your videos not up to guidelines or whatever. And I'm like, wow, like there's nothing too wild and crazy on my channel that I feel like would really set it off. But again, I'd appreciate your guys' support. Obviously, Brandon, for you, like looking things up for me, because obviously, at work, I'm like so busy, and I've just had this pit in my stomach for 2 days about it, because like I said, I've almost made it a part-time job in a sense to make it innovative and different. And I plan like weeks and months ahead of like what I want to do, and creating content and stuff for Instagram. And it's a whole thing, and it's just a bummer. So anybody in the chat, dude, like all I can say is like, come sub over there. Again, another thing too is usually daily I'm gaining subs. Like my subs haven't moved in 3 days, which is very odd for me as well. It's almost like I'm in like this holding pattern. So if you guys would definitely go do that and like some of my new videos, because again, I got to get them back on track. I don't know if because I'm kind of in this like appeal limbo period, if they're holding things back, or like Christian said, maybe because I deleted tons of videos with a lot of views, it set me back a little bit, which I didn't even think about when I did it. So
that's what I think it is.
Also, just to put this pin in your hat, there's a way to recover deleted YouTube videos. There's a process you can go through. So if you decide to go back and want to get a certain video back, there is a way you can appeal to YouTube and have them reinstated. I had a big video reinstated after it was deleted for like 6 days on my channel, and they put it back up there with the same view count and everything. So
okay,
it is possible. So we'll talk later down the road if we need to get there. So.
Well, there you go, guys. That's what's going on with Garrett. So go check out his channel, drop some likes, subscribe, and all that. We'll get him back on track. It's a tough business out here, man, because we're not in control. We got to play by the rules, but unfortunately, we don't really know what the rules are. That's just where we're at right now. But let's have some fun. It's horror soundtrack night. I like the way we did it the last time. We kind of went around the table and brought stuff up. I only have a number one. Again, the rest of them are just a bunch of fun picks I have, but I have a number. I don't know if you guys have a number one, but I've got a number one.
I do.
Yeah. Okay, cool. How about you, Brandon? You got a number one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's start. Fuck it, I'll start. Let me start. I'm gonna get this one out the way because it's one of my favorites, but it's an interesting concept. It's not a concept, but interesting thing, because none of the songs are really heard in the movie at all. But the soundtrack is killer. It's one of my favorites. That's A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I've talked about this 1,000 times. But it's got Wasp. It's got Bruce Dickinson, who did Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, which ultimately ended up on the 1990 Iron Maiden record. They re-recorded the song. And much more of like that Maiden kind of like raw sound. There's a band called Mammoth that is amazing. It was a bunch of these really heavy set guys that played like kind of hair metal AOR rock on here. There's a band called Slave Raider that has an amazing track called What Do You Know About Rock and Roll that I love. And the cool thing about the Elm Street sequels is they had a lot of hip hop on them. So there's Houdini on here. There's Samantha Fox on here as well. Ooh. Dr. Ice, Schoolie D, and Cool Mo D. So I love this record. I got this years ago. I forgot where, but yeah, it's fantastic. So if you ever listen to the soundtrack on YouTube, you'll probably be pretty surprised at how rocking it is. But there's only one song that I've ever heard actually in the film, and it's very, 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 very quiet. So if you're watching Nightmare 5, the scene where they're at the pool house and they're talking, you can vaguely hear Heaven in the Backseat by Romeo's Daughter. Vaguely. You have to really stick your head up to the speaker to catch it. But it's very interesting because I don't know where Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter even plays in this movie, if it does at all. But it's one of those weird things. It's got an amazing soundtrack, but none of it is really in the movie as far as I can tell. And I've watched this movie a lot. So check that out if you guys have never listened to it. I think it's just a kick-ass late 80s hip-hop and just like rock metal soundtrack. So that's how I'm going to start out the night. A little Nightmare 5.
Definitely cool.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gary. We'll go around like that.
All right, now I felt like the horror one to me was a little bit tougher because I know when we did the non-horror ones, we really weren't trying to do scores, right? So a lot of horror movies are mostly scores, and that's where I was really kind of getting thrown off. Is I'm like, okay, like what else do I have that's got bands in it or actual songs and stuff like that? So it got kind of a little bit dicey on what I chose. I did bring a couple different things to the table, but I'm going to start with this one just because it's the only cassette tape I have on hand. But this kind of goes in the same line. I think when we started last week, we talked about things like The Crow and Spawn and all that stuff. Man, when this thing came out, it was just bonkers. And that's Demon Night soundtrack.
Hold on.
That I have on cassette. Sorry, I have to say, but this was super hot of an item when this thing came out. I mean, you got bands on there like Ministry, Pantera, Biohazard, Melvins, Machine Head, Megadeth, Sepultura, Rollins Band, Filter, Gravediggers. So this thing was a killer album. For sure that came out right when the movie came out. And I remember getting this and listening to it before that movie even hit. And it was like, he just kind of hyped you up for it. So that was my first pick for the night.
That's badass. I like the Melvins a lot, man. The Melvins are one of my jams right there. I don't remember the song that they have on that movie though.
Let me see. I don't know them offhand. Melvins did, of course, Filter did Hey Man, Nice Shot. Melvins did, is something Instant Larry. I don't know if you know that song.
Not off memory. I don't know if that was for the movie or if it was off a record or not, but I need to rewatch. It's been a while since I've watched Demon Night. I've always been partial to Bordello. That's when I usually frequent more because I like this story of it with the vampires and all, and Feldman's in that.
Oh yeah.
But badass. Nice to start out with a cassette too. So that's really cool.
It's the only cassette I got over here. So yeah,
that's fun. All right, Brandon.
I'm just going to get these two out of the way all at once. We touched on these last time, but I have to put them in this pool because I love them so damn much. It's the soundtrack to The Crow 1 and 2, obviously.
Which one's better?
I'm really partial to City of Angels. I mean, I feel like every song off City of Angels fucking slaps. But the first album has a couple hit or misses, you know what I mean? But the first album also has that song Time Baby 3 by Medicine, which is a fantastic song. But what's weird about that song, and I kind of just recently figured out why, is the version in the movie when they're in the club and they're singing that song, it sounds weird. And I was like, why does it always sound weird compared to the album version? The song Time Baby 3 on the album, the one they're singing in the movie is Time Baby 2. It's a different version of the song. Why they made the third version on the album and not part 2 is very strange to me. If that makes any fucking sense what I just said.
So is that it? You done?
That's it.
Very nice.
We already covered The Crow, man. I don't need to keep going on to it.
Yeah.
I'll talk about those albums for like 25 minutes.
Dude, I'm so glad you introduced me to I say introduced me. I'm so glad I actually watched City of Angels. Like I really love it. I just avoided it. I avoided it and the next one, the Furlong one. I finally did see that one though.
Wicked Prayer is so terrible.
Yeah, it's not great. All right, Brandon. Let's see where we're going next. I'll tell you where I want to go next. A little Rob Zombie. People are always off and on about his films one way or the other, but all of his movies had fantastic music. House 1000 Corpses slams my ass. You know what I love the most on here too? The I'm Your Boogeyman he did at the end credits that him and Lionel Richie tag teamed on. You mean
Brick House?
Brick House, not Boogeyman, Brick House. But I'm trying to see what else is on here. But the song House 1000 Corpses that he actually did for the movie too is also fantastic. Waxwork put out these records. They have Garrett, did you sell yours? Did you have all these and sell them, or do you still have yours?
I didn't get them actually. No, I didn't have them.
I would imagine.
I mean, I would
love these.
I would have loved them. It's just, again, it's one of those things that I was kind of out of it at that point when those came out. So I was like, and I just kind of missed them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never had them.
But they're great. I mean, there's awesome songs on here, and this is far from the best one in terms of like his soundtracks. But I mean, we'll talk more about him later, I'm sure, if I bring it up. But whether you love these movies or not, Rob's music has always been just insane, and the sequels have a lot of great actual bands on it. But I want to start with House first because just his like I said, his brick house he did is so good. I love it. So I gotta show my boy some love. Got a little Rob Zombie already in the mix. And I really love those Waxwork records that they put out. Those were day ones when they happened. So
yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because it's on my like list that I made of stuff I didn't have that I thought would be good recommendations. But so I'm glad you brought that up because you have the actual vinyl. Nice drink, by the way. Hell yeah, Ghost. Boom.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
I like the blues as much as the reds now. I just every time I drink these, I'm like, these blue ones are good.
I got some right here. We got I got red and some cherry limeade one.
There you go.
I'm gonna bring this one. This is not many people probably have this. This was a very early release when they started re-releasing soundtracks, and that's Last House on the Left. I love this soundtrack because David Hess did all the music in the movie, and it's legit like him playing the songs, and there's lyrics and stuff in it. It's got Road Leads to Nowhere, which is like the main theme. Then it's got a lot of other kind of hokey songs that are throughout the movie, like with kazoos and stuff like that. And it's really wild, some of the stuff here. Just a cool addition to have, obviously with the passing of him as well. And just to have all of his stuff from this on this vinyl is really, really cool. I'm trying to see. I haven't checked in a while if it's colored or anything like that. No, it seems to be just black. But yeah, Last House on the Left is a really underrated soundtrack if you guys haven't checked this one out.
Dude, I haven't thought about that movie's music in a long time. Yeah, it's hitting me. It's hitting me. Who put that out?
This was, I think, One Way Static Records.
Wow,
One Way Static. They were like an early. I think that was one of the first soundtracks, like re-release soundtracks I got before like things like Mondo started to get popular. Like that was one of the first that I picked up.
Damn, well, that's killer.
Thank you.
All right, Butterman.
I'm gonna go next.
Butterman.
I'm gonna go with the soundtrack to I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Ooh.
It's a fantastic soundtrack. It's got gems on here such as Hush by Kula Shaker, Summer Breeze by Typo Negative, which, by the way, the version on this CD is kind of lame compared to I think it's the album version's better. It's a little bit different. It has stuff in here like This Ain't the Summer of Love by L7, Hey Bulldog by Toad the Wet Sprocket. It's got that Clumsy song by Our Lady Peace. I mean, it's a fantastic record for a fantastic slasher. Super underrated, super 90s.
Dude, I like that version of Summer Breeze.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Dude, their version, it's got an edge to it.
It does have an edge. You're right.
It makes every time somebody says Our Lady Peace, you know what I think of? I think of Chris Benoit. Because they did.
Oh,
and they can't play the song anymore. They don't play it anymore. I loved his theme too. Good pick, Brandon. I dig it. All right. Let's see. Where am I going next? Let's see. I saw Dave Vanderhoff bring this up. Rocktober Blood, motherfuckers.
Ooh, that's nice, man. I've never even seen that vinyl.
Yeah, this is like a little bumper sticker that I never used, so I just stuck it in here. I love the soundtrack to this as much as almost any other 80s horror movie soundtrack. That I forgot, I don't know what band it was that does the songs in here, but all the tracks on here are bad fucking ass. They're so kick ass and like hard rock, and the soundtrack makes the movie. It's a shame because this movie literally cannot get a new physical media release because like the owners of the husband and wife that own the movie, they won't like license it out to anybody. Wow. I know Vinegar Syndrome's tried to and stuff, and it would be a great addition to the Vinegar Syndrome library if they could. But oddly enough, the music got reissued vinyls, and there is an original vinyl that came out back in 87 or 8 when the movie came out. But you know, this is I couldn't find it at a reasonable price. So this reissue, I happened to check this website that had a few left when they did these. This is not the original artwork either. This is like a new designed artwork that there's the only option I had. But yeah, this soundtrack's great. It's like a blood red vinyl. Who put this out? Lunaris Records. I don't know what else that I have from them, but check that out on YouTube. The name of the opening track is I'm Back. That's what I think it's called, but it's so fucking good. So fucking good. Sorcery. Thank you, Dave. That's what it is. Yeah, it's Sorcery. Killer soundtrack. So if you can find that on vinyl, if you're into that stuff, guys, check that out. So gonna get it popping with some Rocktober blood.
All right, this one I don't have a physical media copy of, so I mean, like as far as the soundtrack, but I did bring the Blu-ray to the table just to showcase what I'm talking about, and you guys probably agree with me. Killer soundtrack for Tales from the Hood. A lot of hip hop stuff in here. You Wu-Tang's in here, and the big one that I always remember. Oh baby, he's got it. Is evil lurks in the eyes of a madman. Spice One. That song is so killer, man. You know that song, Brandon?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's such a good song. Bounce, bounce. Oh, that's a great soundtrack. So I'm glad you have it because it's a banger.
Did you listen to it all in the regular, Brandon?
I do, actually, especially that Spice One song. That song hits so fucking hard, especially if you have a system. Like, I don't care if you're in a great mood and you put that song on, you're going to be filled with fucking rage. You just want to go murder people. I swear to God. But Garrett, that's a great fucking choice. Now I don't have to bring this up now because you brought it up.
It's funny. I have a funny story about that. When I was probably in my teens, early 20s, I was in a backyard wrestling league, and we used to film it. We were on like public access and stuff. And this one kid, what was his name? Soldier something, and his theme song was the Spice One song from that. So every time I hear it, I always think of him like walking through the entrance, like to the ring, and he was all ghettoed out and stuff. It was hilarious.
But you know what's crazy? That song, where is it on here? The Face Mob song kicks fucking ass. Death Represents My Hood is awesome. There's so many good fucking songs on this record. Like every song on here, except for maybe one or two, just slaps, man. It's so good. It's such a good record.
Badass.
Good call, man.
Brandon, what's your pick? Because that was Garrett.
That was Garrett.
Give me some hot. Throw in some heat for me, dude. Let's get it popping. Let's get it fucking popping.
Okay. Popping. Okay, let's just do this. Get this out of the way. The official soundtrack for Maximum Overdrive.
Yes.
Who Made Who by AC/DC.
Best song AC/DC ever did.
Who Made Who?
Favorite song.
I know it's more of a compilation, but Who Made Who they made especially for this record for the movie, right? That was the only song they made especially for the film.
Yes.
But it's a killer compilation regardless. Like every song on here, obviously, is fantastic.
It's my favorite AC/DC song. I love Who Made Who.
Yeah, it's so funny that it doesn't even say Maximum Overdrive anywhere on here except the back in the smallest font. The official soundtrack of Maximum Overdrive.
I want to see it. Put it up to the.
That's funny.
Bring it
real might be blurry, but see, there's the logo, Maximum Overdrive, right there.
I see it.
It's not in focus, but it says this is the official soundtrack of Maximum Overdrive.
I really want to get the LP for Who Made Who. I've seen it before years ago, and like a jackass moron, I didn't get it, and it was cheap too. But that's one of my top 5 or 6 AC/DC vinyls I want to grab. Is Who Made Who.
Oh yeah,
and I love the artwork too, like a big like tower cathedral thing.
Right,
it's badass. Solid pick.
Killer.
Solid pick. All right, let's keep it rolling. I'm gonna follow suit. I'm gonna do another movie, and don't worry, guys. We're gonna talk about some obvious home runs. Don't worry, okay? I see people in the chat bringing up stuff that's like, of course, that's main event. Okay, that's main event, guys. I'm gonna pick another movie it's a one song movie like Maximum Overdrive, but the song is fucking killer. It is in the movie. You've got to put your ears up to the screen. I have the LP, but there wasn't a single for the song as far as I can tell. That is Prince of Darkness, the John Carpenter film. And the song is from Alice Cooper's Raise Your Fist and Yell, a very amazing record that Alice did. It's really the most metal thing he'd ever done. And the song Prince of Darkness is fucking amazing. I love it so much. Killer track. One of my favorite tracks from this record as well. So, yeah, that song Prince of Darkness is awesome. So, yeah, that's my pick. That's my pick.
Awesome. And
I
The
don't know
score
if
for that movie is so good too. The score, like that boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything on here about. No, even on the vinyl itself, it doesn't. It just says Prince of Darkness. There's nothing about the movie itself, but look how cool that insert card is on the back too.
That's killer.
It's a great record. I know this is a movie thing, but I just want to say, like, Raise Your Fish and Yell is one of, I think, the most underrated Alice Cooper records because it's sandwiched between Constrictor, which obviously was his big comeback album, and then Trash, which is another massive album. So this album's stuck in between them, but it's like the most metal thing he ever did, and it's fucking awesome. So, but Prince of Darkness is a great track on there too. So another one song movie, but I will be talking about Alice a lot tonight. So, all right, Garrett, let's take it home.
So you kind of just got me on that when you showed the album of like the Alice Cooper album with the song that's from the movie, because I kind of have something like that. I'm not sure if this movie has a soundtrack, but I do have the album with the song on it that was like the big.
I'm
song
about to be extremely pissed off, ain't I?
I don't think you're gonna have this. It's pretty. I don't know. You have a lot of rare stuff, but this thing is.
If it is what I think it is, I'm gonna piss my pants.
Well, the movie is Killer Party is the movie.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, and this was the big song in the movie, and this was by a band, White Sister.
Great band.
And the song was April, which is on this as well. And that was the big song, Killer Party. Like, April, why do you play the fool? They do like a whole video in it.
Is that a record or is that a 12-inch single for that song?
No, it's a full album. It's a full album, White Sister album, but April's the main song on it.
Oh, okay. Fashion by Passion. That's different artwork than what they show for on, because the record Fashion by Passion is.
It's got that blue with the woman on it, and it's got the weird
so
swirls. Yeah, I don't know what this is, but Fashion by Passion. It's got the band. I don't know.
You know what other song is
FM
on?
Records.
I'll hold off. There's another song on there from a horror movie, and I forgot to grab it. I have the cassette of it, but I'll bring it up at a later time. I'll get it for the next round whenever we go to Brandon.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought that up. Killer Party, dude, I liked that movie. I just saw that when that Blu-ray came out from Scream Factory, and I was like, this isn't going to be as cool as the artwork is. It ended up being a good movie. And White Sister is in a lot of horror movies, believe it or not. Like, I'm surprised how many movies used White Sister. I don't know if the record label was like, this is how we're going to promote the band. We're going to shove them in a bunch of B-grade horror films.
Right. I mean, maybe because they're really like in the movie. Like they have like a whole scene with them playing that song too. So
yeah,
they were really
very cool. Nice. And I like seeing the LPs too. That's really cool. That artwork's throwing me off, dude. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. It's the blue one with the woman on it and all the cool like lights going around, or like the neons and stuff. Right, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that was different.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, can you follow that up?
I think so. I'm going to go to the 1995 Jeff Goldblum classic, Hideaway, which is an awesome, weird horror fucking movie, man. So this album has gems like Go to Hell by KMFDM. I can't fucking
I used to like them a lot, man. Dude, when I was in high school, KMFDM, yeah.
Yeah, the Mortal Kombat soundtracks helped my my taste in their music as well, dude. This had a Peep Show by Miranda Sex Garden on it. It had Lung by Sister Machine Gun. It had that Scum Grief remix by Fear Factory. Surface Patterns by Frontline Assembly. I had the Godflesh, dude. It's a great soundtrack to a great film.
I don't even know if I've seen that movie though,
dude. It's such a weird movie, dude.
I don't. Let me see if I can see what the cover of the DVD looks like and see if I got it.
It's got Jeff Goldblum. It's got Alicia Silverstone.
I do have this. Okay, I was just gonna say when you had, I said, is Alicia Silverstone in that one? But yeah, I see the cover now. I do have that, but I don't remember much about it actually.
It's great. You should check it out again. What's funny too is remember the movie Clueless with Alicia Silverstone? Remember the guy who tries to make a move on her and he dumps her out of his car in Clueless?
Vaguely, but I know the movie. Yeah, but I don't remember who
he plays the bad guy in this with Alicia Silverstone. So it's kind of trippy
That is wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I made it back, Brandon.
You did.
I'm sorry. Good deal. So to piggyback off of Garrett's pick, in the movie Halloween 5, there was also White Sister, and they did the song called "Dancing on Midnight," and it's It's on the record. It's on that record.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, Halloween 5 soundtrack was one of the only times I've ever seen them combined the actual songs, and there's like 7 songs with Alan's score. The vinyl is extremely rare in America. Extremely rare. There was more German pressings that you can get. You can find a lot more of the German pressings easier than American pressings. Fortunately, though, I do have the cassette for Halloween 5. And there's great songs on here. Romeo, Romeo, that you hear when the girls, Rachel's like taking a shower and all that. Anything from Money, which is a really cool track. Dancing on Midnight, which is that second time around, Sporting Women. And then Alan Howarth's score kicks in. So it's very interesting that this soundtrack, and there's actually a really cool shot of Michael on the inside of that. That's the one thing I like about cassettes is you never know what kind of art you're going to see on the inside of those things. But very cool that they actually combine both. And I really like the songs. Anything for Money is like the track when the boyfriend Michael pulls up in his black car and you hear like all the brass and stuff playing on that rock track. So it's actually a cheesy, good 80s soundtrack. So that's one of my favorite things about Halloween 5. So I'd love to own the LP, but like I said, extremely fucking rare. So the cassette will do. So that's my next pick is the Halloween 5 soundtrack.
Nice.
There you go.
Oh, it's back to me, huh?
Back to you.
All right, I'm going to take a heavy hitter of mine out just because it's sitting right here. And this is the soundtrack for a movie I talk about all the time, and that's Black Roses.
I want that so bad.
So this is a freaking killer soundtrack, man. And the thing is that we know that Lizzie Borden does the song, like the main song, like Me Against the World, right? So it's on here, but then all of a sudden it's like Dance on Fire, Soldiers of the Night, which is a big one. And it says...
Who does Soldiers of the Night? Oh, I'm sorry, you're about to say.
It says Black Roses. Like, that's why I'm very confused because I don't know, like... Obviously, that guy didn't sing these, right? Like Black Roses Paradise, like We're on Our Way. That's like that was kind of like the ballad that he sang in the movie, and it says Black Roses was the person who did it. So I don't know the whole deal with this.
Well, it's kind of like the Dudes of Wrath, right? From Shocker, which was Paul Stanley, Desmond Child, and all that. The one thing I remember reading about is there's this legendary drummer. His name is Carmine Appice. I mean, he was one of the best in the 70s and 80s. He was in a band called Blue Murder. He did a lot of studio work. I know Dave in the chat knows exactly who that is. I believe Carmine was the drummer who did the drumming for the songs for Black Roses.
Okay.
And if you familiarize yourself with like some of the stuff he's done, especially like the 89 Blue Murder record, which is one of the best records of the 80s, it's like a hidden record. It's so good. But the drumming is so good on those songs, and it's just so big, and like that's Carmine for sure. But dude, I will get so much shit in the chat, and I do not give a damn. The Black Roses soundtrack is as good as Shocker or Fastway's Trick or Treat. I don't care. Lizzie Borden is fucking incredible, and Me Against the World is a jam. I love
agree.
Black Roses.
I think that this album from front to back is awesome. Like, because when you even listen to the songs in the movie, like they're really, really good songs. Like songs like radio hit songs, like at that level, you know. So the fact to get them all on this thing is it's killer. And I got this a long time ago. I don't know if this is kind of hard to find now, this vinyl or not. But if you can get it, I would recommend it for sure.
I think I don't know if it's hard to get. It's just one of those things where I would have to eBay it, which I hate doing. Right. I love finding this stuff at the store, right? It takes all the fun out when I go get it online. But eventually I'm going to break down because that is a top 10 horror movie soundtrack to me, possibly even top 5. But the thing of it, Garrett, is this. It has nothing to do with the quality of the music. It's simply the fact that that movie is not as popular or talked about. That's why nobody talks about it. If people heard it, you'd have to be deaf to say, oh my God, this is not fucking incredible. A lot of people probably are just not familiar with Black Roses. And
I mean, you could easily YouTube it. I'm sure if you YouTube the soundtrack, you could probably get it and people could listen to it easily that way. But you're right. Like, I think because the movie isn't something that people really know, therefore it doesn't get as much love as something else.
Yeah, that's true. Carmine did play the drumming in the movie. So I bet you John Fletcher got it too. But yeah, Carmine Appice is literally, he's still with us. He's healthy. He's in his 70s. God bless him. But he is a legendary drummer. He was like the architect of just that big, powerful, monstrous sound. He's one of my favorite drummers for sure. So great pick. Very jelly. I want to get that. I need to get that LP one day. I wish they'd reissue it, but again, these soundtracks, dude, it's damn near impossible because a lot of these record labels that put this stuff out, they go away, they get absorbed by bigger labels. Then you have to. It's a nightmare to reissue this stuff. So the fact that they got the Lost Boys reissued is quite frankly a miracle. With that being said, though, let's move on to Brandon because I'll ramble about boring statistics and facts all day.
I'm gonna go with 2002's soundtrack to Queen of the Damned.
My wife loves that soundtrack and that movie.
I'm not a big fan of the movie. I thought it was kind of a big letdown, especially after the Interview movie a few years before this one. But this soundtrack does slap. I mean, it's got Wayne Static, David Draymond, Deftones, Marilyn Manson, Papa Roach, Godhead, Jay Gordon of Orgy, Disturbed, Static X, Dry Cell, Kidney Thieves. I mean, it's a great soundtrack. It's a really, really good soundtrack. There's only a couple duds on here, but all in all, it's a killer soundtrack. And I think this soundtrack is better than the actual movie.
That's probably fair too.
Yeah.
Brad, are you not a vinyl guy? Are you a CD guy only?
I'm sort of. I don't have many vinyls at all, really.
No, that's cool. Why don't you have to go look for?
I have a stack of inherited ones from my uncle and my mom and stuff, but I don't have a huge stack of contemporary soundtracks on vinyl.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, Brandon, you're coming with some modern stuff. I dig it. A little variety, so I like that. You know, I feel kind of bad, so I'm gonna bring this up next. Maybe Garrett's got this. I do want to throw it out. I love the band Fastway. And this is far from their best album, but to say that, you know, Trick or Treat is not a great album would be a lie. So, Garrett, look at.
I don't have it, man. I don't have it.
And my favorite songs is like "Don't Stop the Fight." That's my favorite song on the record. It's not the opening track or the one. Actually, the B-side, If You Could See, is a great song too. The whole record is great, but I really want people to know, like, Fastway is a fantastic band. And don't just listen to this record from them. Go back and listen to their debut. It's one of the best barroom blues rock records ever. The record looks like a checkerboard, and it's got Fastway in the middle. Great band. And did you know that the singer for this band, the guy who sang on this record, he left and he started that Irish band that became really successful. I think they're called Flogging Molly. It's either Flogging Molly or the other Irish band. I forget the name of them, but he went on to do that. I want to say it's Flogging Molly. Somebody in the chat will probably know, but yeah, you take the soundtrack out of this movie and you put in something else. I mean, you lose it. So Fastway is an amazing band, and the record's great because there's Ozzy right there on the back. They got some great pictures on here. Then there's Gene Simmons. I thought Gene was fantastic as the radio DJ in Trick or Treat.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, great record. One of the most legendary soundtracks of all time. And our boy from Family Ties, I forget his name, but hopefully we get him on the special features of the new 4K coming out. So I know everybody's excited about that. It would be nice if they can release a CD as well with the movie. I know people would love that.
I would think that that's a good chance that they would be able to do that.
Yeah, because it's one band. It's only Fastway. We got to find out what label they're from, and if that's doable, that'd be great. So 10 out of 10 soundtrack. But so is Black Roses, goddammit. I even say Black Roses is a 10.5 out of 10. So
should we hold them both up at the top and then have someone take a screenshot and then get a poll going on Instagram or something?
Yeah, definitely. All right, Garrett, I know you're gonna eventually pull up what's gonna piss me off. So
I don't know, man. I don't know if I am or not, but
I know you are. Because you've shown me you had this thing. I'm not gonna say it yet. You'll bring it up eventually.
All right. I hope I brought it to the table. But this is again, I don't have the vinyl for this. I assume it probably has one. But there's one song in this movie that to me is just like a friggin' banger of a song. And I'm gonna talk about the Blob remake. And
Alien.
That song by Alien, Brave New Love, is such a freaking killer song. Like that belongs on like everybody's 80s playlist. I mean, that thing is so damn good. It's a great song. If you guys don't know it, look up Alien, Brave New Love. That's the big theme song for the Blob remake, and it's such a freaking great song, man.
Dude, I've been trying to track down that album too.
Is it a tough, like, are you better off trying to find the Alien album to get that song, or does the Blob have a soundtrack?
It very well could. I don't know if it does. I've never
Right.
looked into it, but the record, I've actively listened to that record, and Alien is a killer, underrated AOR rock, metal band. Great singer too. But the record I'd want to get, but that's it's weird. There are certain bands when I try to track the stuff down, you just never, ever, ever see them. Like I have never seen an Alien record. I've seen like random stuff, like the Jet Blackberries, which they did a song for Return of the Living Dead that I've never. I couldn't believe I saw it today in my hometown of the Bible Belt. I saw a Jet Blackberries record. I'm like, oh my god, how is this here? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But stuff like Alien, those are one of those bands. Never in my life have I seen a soundtrack, a record from them.
One other one is that I have. I didn't bring it to the table. Maybe we'll talk about it actually, but I think I have the LP. I remember really searching for it. Was Lion, which has the song from Friday 4.
Friday 4, great band too. Great band.
Yeah, and that's a tough one to get a hold of. I think I have the one that's got that song on it, but it took me. I think I had to like get it from overseas or something back in the day. But that was a hard one to find.
I dig it. Alien's great. All right, Butterboy.
I'm gonna go with the soundtrack to Valentine.
God, Valentine again.
Wow, this guy's taking all the. He's killing it with the modern.
Dude,
I love it.
It's a good soundtrack. It's got Rob Zombie, Disturbed, Static X, Linkin Park, Deftones, Orgy, Marilyn Manson, Soulfly, Filter. It's got a kick-ass song by Snake River Conspiracy. It's a pretty good album considering. Even if you're not a fan of the film, which I fucking love the movie, I don't say you can't be a fan of the film. The soundtrack will still put you over. So,
Valentine is a fantastic slasher.
it is.
I'm not familiar with the music on. I mean, I'm familiar with the band you mentioned, but I Valentine best slasher top 10 and soundtrack. Dirty filthy butter money as he sips on his juice.
What do you get there?
See, you get your tea.
He's like so proper.
All right, where do I go next? All right, guys. I've got a number of them left. Like I said, as we keep going, I'm assuming we'll keep it under 2 hours like last time for sure. This is a deep cut. Somebody in the chat might know it. I don't know about you guys. One of my all-time favorite bands, I've got them tattooed on me, is Blue Oyster Cult. Love Blue Oyster Cult. In 1992, Charlie Band did a record with them, and they did the entire soundtrack. And they had other bands record some of the songs that Blue Oyster Cult wrote for a movie called Bad Channels. It's a silly, fun 90s horror film. But I got the vinyl for the Blue Oyster Cult songs on this are fucking awesome. The opening track is called Demon's Kiss, and it's as good as anything that Blue Oyster Cult did in the 80s. It's a rocking track. But the songs that they wrote for some of the other bands in here are also incredibly good. And it was the early 90s, so everything still had like that hair sound to it. Because like a lot of these bands, they couldn't write grunge music, so they were still writing the stuff that they knew. So some of these bands in the early 90s that were recording the stuff, it just sounds great. It's a charmer movie. It's really silly. It's about an alien that, invades a radio station and then plays these songs around sexy women and shrinks them and puts them in pods. As you can see, they're the pods. But the songs that they play in here are great, and it's Blue Oyster Cult. I mean, what else can I say? So check out the soundtrack, even if you haven't seen the movie. I mean, it's Blue Oyster Cult. It'll kick your ass. So yeah, I love this soundtrack to death.
Does Bad Channels have a Blu-ray, or is it only a DVD still?
No, I've actually talked to Charles Band about this, or somebody involved with the company. I asked him a year or so ago. I was like, "Hey, when are we gonna get a Blu-ray for Bad Channels?" And they're going through vaults and vaults and vaults.
Oh,
they
really?
actually just found one of them from 91 or 2. It's a fun little movie. It's called damn it, I forget the name of it. It's got a picture of like this hand flying towards the screen. It's a early 90s full moon classic. I really like it. I'll think of the name in a minute and I'll bring it up, but they're going through vaults to find stuff. And I think they're going to find it eventually because it's so fun. I mean, even it's not a great movie, but it's a musical. It's like watching an MTV movie with just a bunch of music videos and women dancing and Blue Oyster Cult. So yeah, I would love to get a Blu-ray of it because I had the DVD, but it doesn't look great. And it's a 4x3. So they literally took the DVD and got a VHS rip for it. So it's not a really good DVD either. So that's my pick.
Love it.
I'm sticking to it.
All right, man. I'm running out over here. I'll throw this one out. Well, people aren't going to really know it, but it's one that you guys should check
Netherworld.
out.
That's it. Thank you, Cinema Drum.
All right, this is a movie called Night Visitor. I talk about it a lot. Such a cool, underrated, like late 80s. I'm gonna say it's basically, to me, I call it like Fright Night Junior because it's kind of along the same lines, same kind of story, but it's got real cool music in here. I actually remember when I first met Brandon, he was doing all the remaster music on there. I messaged him and I was like, dude, you got to find the theme song for Night Visitor and redo it. And I don't know if you guys look it up, it's kind of a hard song to find. I don't think it probably has a soundtrack, but if you look it up on YouTube and you look up Night Visitor, theme song, it shows up on there, and it's just a really, really cool track. So again, it was kind of like a deep cut in the sense that it's only really got like 2 big songs on it. So I don't know, like I said, if this has a soundtrack or not, but I definitely would recommend checking out the theme song for Night Visitor if you can find it on the guy who did it was Eric Toyer or Troyer or something did the song.
That's a great movie too. Do you have the Blu-ray for that?
I do, yeah. It's,
okay, I was wondering.
Yeah. Did you get it?
Yeah, I've got the Blu-ray for it.
Oh yeah. That's a movie I highly recommend to people. There's a Blu-ray out. I never saw this until not too long ago. I randomly bought the Blu-ray because the cover looked cool.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So I like searched like the VHS and all this other stuff. So
hell yeah. All right, Brandon.
Oh, it's my turn. I'm gonna go with An American Werewolf in Paris.
You son of a
wow, this guy's
Jesus
going nuts
Christ.
with these 90s, 2000s
Oh, yeah.
flicks.
He bought all these last week, by the way.
So Bush, Better Than Ezra, Cake, Suicide Machines, Fastball. It's got all kinds of shit on this record. The first half of the record is better than the last half, obviously, because Bush starts off the record with that Mouth remix, which was everywhere back in the 90s, right, when this movie came out. But the soundtrack's still a good listen. I think this, for a lot of people, is probably better than the film, because I know a lot of people fucking hate the movie. I love the movie. I think the soundtrack's equally as good, but it's worth checking out.
There's a 4K, I think, on the way for that.
That's
Germany
awesome.
already did one too.
Yeah.
I remember I was saying to myself, Germany had like an announcement like last year, and it was like, I forgot the lineup, but 2 of the 5 in that lineup was American Werewolf in Paris and Leatherface from 2017 on 4K. And I'm just like, God damn, Germany, y'all are wild out there. Are you ready for the Leatherface 2017 4K? It's a great movie.
Oh my God.
Oh man. All right, Brandon. Let me follow that up. You son of a bitch. I tell you what. Let me do another movie with a one-hit wonder, because people have already been asking me in the chat when I'm going to bring it up.
Sure.
A one-song movie. I don't give a rat's ass. I'm always rocking with Dokken, and I gotta have that.
Oh baby.
I got that Dream Warriors right there.
I threw Dream Warriors in here too. I don't have the album though. Yeah, but I only had this.
See,
look, it's got the sticker, baby. Look, sticker.
I gotta get the VHS with the Dokken hype sticker on it.
Yeah, you know what I always wanted though? Remember when they re-released that thing not too long ago? It had like a yellow vinyl or something. I always wanted that, but I never could get my hands on it.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so Dokken, this was like the height of their career for sure. I have the LP Back for the Attack, which ironically doesn't have the song Back for the Attack on it. I don't know if they did if it's on greatest hits and stuff. I don't know if it was ever on an LP, but I mean, look, this is far from my favorite Elm Street soundtrack, as you're going to find out, because guess what, guys? This is one song. One song can't make it the best, but I love Dokken. And there's 2 versions of Elm Street 3. There's a version that plays Into the Fire when she hits the cassette
Yeah.
player, and there's another version that plays Joe Lamont's Quiet Cool. I don't know why the Quiet Cool version is kind of like lost. You don't really see that on the DVDs or Blu-rays anymore. I know it's on the Blu-rays, and on HBO, I'm pretty sure when they had it on there, it was the Into the Fire version. But just thought I'd bring that up. That was very interesting. But yes, this is one of my favorite LPs I got. It's a 12-inch single, so it sounds great. And then I got the cassette. And on the cassette, Back for the Attack is on here. Let me see if it's actually on the vinyl. I think Paris is Burning Live is on here. No, okay, check it out. There it is. So the only way to have Back for the Attack on vinyl is to have the single of Dawkins Dream Warriors. Because like I said, on the record, Back for the Attack, the song's not on there. The song Back for the Attack is not on Back for the Attack. So
Wow.
I guess the only way I can... And Back for the Attack's a great Dawkins song. So there you go. So... yeah, it's one of my favorites. I did a rip of this, and because it's a 12-inch, not to get nerdy, the thing I love about 12-inch singles is there's a lot more space between the gaps and everything, so there's a lot more fidelity, and it sounds so much better than if this was like a 7-inch. And yeah, so if you want to hear how the song is mixed originally, go to my Radio CHH and check that out. But yeah,
Nice.
I gotta mention Dream Warriors, and that hell of a cover art right there too. So. Not done with Elm Street, but gotta get that started.
All right, I'll piggyback off that one. This is a 12-inch single from a classic.
Oh, here it comes. Is it coming?
And he's back, the man behind
you.
the mask, and it's signed by Alice Cooper.
Do you know how rare that is? I always thought it was a 7-inch single for a while.
Nah.
What else is on there? Is it just Man Behind the Mask on the front and back? Oh, you got it.
I would have to turn. I can take it out. It's fine.
If you don't mind, because I've always wondered if
Hard Rock Summer.
Hard Rock Summer is on there. That's not on Constrictor. And by the way, I pulled that out just to have it. And I also wonder,
Is
obviously-
Teenage Frankenstein on Constrictor?
yes.
Oh
it's the
yeah.
opening
All right.
track.
So this has got He's Back, and it's got $1 Billion Babies, and then it's got I'm 18. That's it.
Wow. So
Those are
two
not
old-
on in the movie.
Now, dude, that is one of my most sought after 12 inches. And I also wonder if you ever get your record player stuff situated, Garrett, I'm dying to know if that is the album mix or if that
Okay.
is the only way to hear the movie mix on vinyl. I'm assuming a lot of the people that take the movie, because if you watch Friday 6 again and listen to the end credits, the movie mix for Man Behind the Mask is vastly different. It's got a little bit more speed to it. It's got a lot more mids. There's a lot more synth underlays in there. It's a very different mix from the record mix. And I think the record mix is far inferior to the movie mix. So I'm dying to know if that has the
Yeah,
movie
I'll try to
mix.
see. I'll try to check it out.
My
when I
money
get
says
my-
probably not, but I'd be interested to know because I've never seen anybody rip it on YouTube. I've always wanted that. Do you remember when you got that vinyl and how much you paid for it?
I don't remember how much I paid for it, but I got it signed by him in 2016. And so I bought this specifically to get signed. So I'm thinking probably 2015, 2016, I probably snagged this thing because I bought this specifically because I knew like when I was going to, when I wanted this signed, I knew this is what I wanted signed. So I had to have hunted this down. As far as how much I paid for it, man, I do not remember.
Damn it. I knew you. I was waiting for you to pull that out, man.
You know what? When you brought out the Dawkins one, and I remembered I brought this over here, I'm like, I think that's what he was talking about.
You needed to one-up me right there, didn't you? That is a one-up. As much as I love Dream
Oh,
Warriors, Man Behind the Mask is a bop. It's a bop. Brandon, you look taken aback. You look disturbed.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
So speaking of Disturbed, and then have like us Disturbed on the soundtrack.
Oh yeah. My next pick is going to be the soundtrack to The Devil's Rejects.
I got
Say
you,
it.
baby. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, he's got the vinyl somewhere.
Which is not in my opinion. Oh, go ahead. This is your turn. I'll just.
No, you go ahead. Share with me because I think I prefer this soundtrack to House of 1,000 Corpses because I feel like every song. Well, obviously, we're not counting the skits and stuff on here because this is the special edition. But every song on this record is so good, and like every song on here, we all grew up listening to these songs off this album, right? We heard like Freebird, stuff like that.
Is Freebird on there? Okay,
It is. But nowadays, whenever I hear one of these songs, I can't not think of Devil's Rejects. Like the songs have been like ruined in that way, so to speak. Not ruined, it's enhanced, but like this movie is like consumed those songs in pop culture for me, which is crazy.
What's your favorite song from here? This is what one of the vinyls looks like.
Wow, that's nice, dude.
That's awesome. I didn't get those when they came out. That's a hard choice.
Dude, it's
It's not Freebird. It's not
Midnight
Freebird.
Rider.
I was gonna say
Rider.
it's probably Midnight Rider.
You know what I mean?
That's the best opening credit song you could have done for that fucking movie.
It's synonymous with the movie now. Like,
Exactly.
because I never really listened to that much music like that before, right? I grew up on a double dose of AC/DC and
Right.
Kill 'Em All from Metallica from my uncle, but like that kind of stuff, I wasn't raised around it. So it's synonymous with this movie.
Yeah. I lied though. My favorite song off this record is Seed of Memory by Terry Reid, for sure. That is the most mellow, chill, but melancholy song at the same time. It's the song that plays in the closing credits of the film.
Oh, my other favorite song in here as well is Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
Mhm.
The Alvin Bishop, because I fooled around and fell.
Another song that, like, when you hear it, you just think about Otis and Captain Spaulding. Like, all those songs have been fucking consumed by Rob Zombie. It's hilarious to me.
It's amazing, and it's so cool because that's clearly. By the way, guys, we got 87 people in here. If you don't mind dropping a like on the stream, I'd really appreciate it. And make sure you go sub to Tabata Vision and Born to Be Rad if you haven't. You really get to see, and this is another thing that me and Nick get so much shit about when we talk about our love for Rob Zombie. It's like, look at the music Zombie's into. He's clearly a kid of the 70s and puts his type of music in the movies. It's not like he's like, okay, studio, give me whatever's popular right now and go ahead and put it in. No, like he's clearly picking Fooled Around and Fell in Love by Alvin Bishop. Do you think Lionsgate or whoever was like, you know what this movie needs, Rob? We need Alvin Bishop. No, they were probably saying we need the new, in 2005, what was popular? Let's get the new 3 Days Grace song in there, Rob. No, Rob is like, you're not telling me what to put in my movie.
Exactly.
So like, that's the biggest thing I love about Rob is his music taste.
Right. On that note, especially in the Devil's Rejects behind the scenes thing where he's talking about how this fucking soundtrack's gonna cost this much money, but we have to have these songs in here. It's important.
Yeah, but
it's like he's all about it. He's like, he knows what songs he needs to have.
That's the reason that these are worth it, is because you're getting those songs.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just getting the Tyler Bates stuff, which I think Tyler did this. I know he did the Rob Halloween movies, but you get
he did it for that one too. Yeah, so, is the score? So the score is with those vinyls too.
As far as I know, it's original motion picture soundtrack. So
I don't own the score to this movie. This doesn't have the score on it. That'd be cool. I need to buy the score because Devil's Rejects has a good score.
All right. After this, I'll start kind of doing 2 for my pick because if you guys are running low,
I'm not.
In my opinion, is the best soundtrack out of all of Rob's Firefly movies. It's not my favorite movie, but the 3 from Hell soundtrack is far and away my favorite.
I don't even remember what's on that.
Oh, dude, here's the best part. This is all I'm gonna say that makes this the best soundtrack. Not only do you get Iron Butterflies in Agata La Vida on the vinyl, you get the 7-minute version. With the drum solo.
Oh God.
You get the 7-minute version. Like I could show you on.
But do we want the 7-minute version?
Yes, it's a psychedelic trip, Brandon. With your, what are you talking about? With your bunny ears. Like it's hard to see on this green vinyl. And look at this. It's a Clint Howard as that clown on here. But this is all in Agata La Vida. Like I know you can't tell. You see, like there's no gap because it's all right here to here. This is all in Agata La Vida. So they and I have a feeling Rob was like, yeah, you got to put the 7-minute version on there. Like, don't put the radio edit. You got to put the 7. It's crazy. You know,
I'm actually kind of jealous I never picked up those albums.
Dude, you need to. They're about to reissue them all in Waxwork. I could be short selling the actual length of this song too. I need to see, but I know it's the longest version that you can get is on here. It's really long. It takes a while to listen to it, but it's fantastic. This is my favorite soundtrack out of the 3. My favorite one. So 3 from Hell is weakening as a movie every time I watch it. Sometimes I wish he wouldn't have made it. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it just, it's like trying to follow up Back in Black. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, Brand, you agree. For those Rock Rock, great album, but it's just you never scale those heights.
You can't, no.
You can't scale those heights. But the
Nor
soundtrack,
would you want to.
The soundtrack for this movie is 10 out of 10.
I'm surprised that you like that the best, honestly.
There's great songs on here. James Gang's on here.
There's 2 more Terry Reid tracks on there too, right?
Terry Reid, Faith to Arise. I'm telling you, out of the 3, this is the best soundtrack. I swear to Christ. So
Christian's on dope.
There you go. Garrett, what are we going to do next?
I see Jamie Hart here. I haven't seen her in a while. How are you doing, Jamie? I don't know. I've been trying to save some of these big ones for the end, but I might as well pull it since I know it's coming from one of you guys.
You better have the Shocker vinyl.
It's not. I don't have the Shocker vinyl, but I do have Shocker. Actually, look, fuck it. I'll just do Shocker. I have just the Blu-ray disc here because I was gonna bring it up. It'd be stupid not to, just because again that opening song is so sick that I had to kind of talk about it. But all right, I'll throw this one up. I know people are expecting it. It's not my favorite, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's pretty freaking close.
Oh boy.
And it's Fright Night.
You son of a bitch! You have that sealed? Is that sealed?
No, it's not sealed.
Oh my god. Right, Garrett, let me just jump in real quick. The best song on that soundtrack.
What is it? Is that what you're asking me?
I'm telling you what. I'm not asking.
Oh, okay,
you.
okay. Well, tell me.
There's 2 songs that are the best. It's not the opening song, Fright Night. It's a fun little bop, without a doubt. Autographs, the Beast Inside.
You can't hide from the Beast Inside. Oh, so freaking good, man.
And
yes.
Then I Rock Myself to Sleep is fucking criminally underrated. Every night I rock myself to sleep on that soundtrack is so fucking good.
It's a great soundtrack. I mean, if you look at it, even like the main song, Fright Night, Beast Inside, Good Man in a Bad Time, such a good song. Like you said, Rock Myself to Sleep. You definitely get, Come to Me, which is like another big one. You could Give It Up, Save Me Tonight. It's loaded, man. It's loaded, front to back. It's like I said, it's probably right up there with my favorite horror soundtracks. But
I want that desperately. I want
desperately. Let me try to see this.
Were you singing the Slaughter song?
I was.
Yeah, that's Stick It To You. Is like if we ever do a record, like just the favorite records. Stick It To You is like top 20 of my favorite records ever from Slaughter. That's a great record. Great pick, dude. Fuck, man. Like I want that. You know what? Pull it back. Come on, pull it back. That's an amazing record. We got to see that again. What I love about it is weird. I'm a weird guy. Silly things like make me happy. The fact that the track list is on the front.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's something about that. But that song from Autograph, You Can't Hide from the Beast Inside, is, Dave will tell you, is so fucking. It's up there with like their song "Turn Up the Radio" in terms of just how it's so good.
It really is. I mean, just even when it kicks on in the movie too, it's like the perfect time. Like when that thing kicks on, it's like it's so killer, dude.
It's so good. Oh man! But I will say this, Garrett. Maybe you'll agree with me. I don't know about Brandon. The Come to Me female version from Part 2
way
is
better. Oh yeah, I agree.
Not, and it's not even close, right? Like she kills.
It's way better. Yeah, who was it? Amy Holland that did that?
I could look it up. I don't know if that ever got a record or a vinyl.
I don't know either, but I've listened to that on YouTube many times. It's a way better version. Yeah,
it's insane. Brandon, are you familiar?
Not with the Part 2 version. Not really. I need to go seek it out. Yeah.
Go, everybody. When this is done, go to YouTube. Just type in Fright Night 2 Come to Me, the female version. It's almost scary how much better that version is than the male version. It's almost scary how much better it is. So go check that out, guys. Write that down. Great pick, Garrett. I didn't know you had that vinyl. That was you shocked me with that one.
I actually assumed you had it, so that's why I was like, I know he's gonna probably want to pull it, so I wanted to throw it out there.
No, there are certain things that are just like on my bucket list to get for soundtracks. Black Roses is literally at the top, but Fright Night is at the next one. And like, I don't know. I know Alexis just got it. I don't know if she has an original or if that's a repress. I'm not sure, but like I'm so old school. I gotta have an original of that.
I was gonna say I do know they did repress it not too long ago because I almost bought it just because I'm such a Fright Night nerd that I'm like, oh, I should get both, but I end up not doing it.
Yeah, so I gotta get that, man. Damn it. All right, Brandon. Is that thing's not cutting off circulation? You're all right, right?
Just a little bit, but
All right.
that's okay. I think we're all going to have the same final pick, so I'm holding off my last piece
No, we're
of
not.
physical media.
We're absolutely not. We're
Um,
absolutely not gonna have the same.
I want to
pick.
go to a choice of a film that has a killer fucking contemporary soundtrack, but there was never a physical release of it, and it pisses me off to this day. The soundtrack to Pet Sematary 2 was so good. Every song on that record, or the movie, was great. And I'm not talking about the score, because there was a physical release of the score a couple of years ago, and I have it, and it's awesome. But the actual soundtrack has songs like I've Got Spies by Dramarama, Revolt by the Nymphs, which is a killer fucking song, Shitlist by L7, Reverence by the Jesus and Mary Chain, Poison Heart, obviously, by the Ramones. It's got that killer song Ride On by Lullabox, which plays in the credits. It's a great soundtrack, and I really can't believe they never released a physical version of it when they released the score. Because that movie that soundtrack was killer. Talk about early 90s grunge rock. It is fucking fantastic.
Now that no CD, nothing, no.
Nothing, no cassette, nothing. I've been searching for years. It just doesn't exist. I'm not sure why.
It's a difficult thing sometimes. Like sometimes like with Rob, it's like he's got the pull, right? Because he's picking artists that are clearly on different record labels. But back in the day, a lot of times the movie studios would get with record labels and they would pick bands all from the same label. So if you get soundtracks, Fright Night may be an example of that. I'm not sure. If Garrett could look, he could look on the sticker on the middle of the vinyl and see if it's Columbia or Scotty Brothers or Geffen Records. Like if it's all bands from one label. Like I could show you on what some of my picks that I've got coming up, but like a lot of times they would pick artists from the same label. Pet Sematary P2 may be an instance where Mary Lambert might have said, I want this song, get the license for it, and then getting a CD or a cassette for it proved to be extremely difficult, and maybe the record labels couldn't come to some sort of agreement. I don't know, but that could be an instance. So.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. The only thing on the back is it says at the bottom, like CBS, then it says Capitol Records, Let's Talk, Devo Inc., Save Me Tonight, Family Productions. So it's like given different companies per song. So I don't know if that means
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That means that's not an anomaly, because it wasn't out of the question for stuff like that to happen, but a lot of times, like I'll show some of mine, but like a lot of times they were all from the same record label, and that's why the soundtracks came out for those movies, for not as big movies either, because it was just that easy to press them out. So but I'll say this, Brandon, again, I'm gonna get a lot of shit. Poison Heart over Pet Sematary.
Oh, hands down. It's a better track.
I love the chorus in Poison Heart. It just hits you in the feels.
It's so hardcore, but so melancholy at the same time.
Yeah. I love Pet Sematary, the song, but that record, Brain Drain, is one of my least favorite Ramones records. The song Pet Sematary on is great. But Brain Drain as an entire record is not very good, in my opinion. They had a lot better output in the 80s besides Brain Drain. But Poison Heart, Mondo Bizarro, that record, Mondo Bizarro is fantastic as well. So, sorry, I just had to get that out of the way.
No worries.
I'm going to do a 2-for-1 right here. I'm going to do Return of the Living Dead's 1 and 2. Two vastly
you bring those up.
Yeah, two vastly different style soundtracks, but equally as fucking awesome. What is that? Is that original, Garrett?
That's the reissue, right, Garrett?
Actually, yeah, it's still sealed. Yeah,
is that the red vinyl?
I don't know. It's sealed still.
It
says right here. Yeah, it says Newberry Comics exclusive brain eating zombie soundtrack. Oh, blue vinyl with blood red haze.
That one's going for like $100 on eBay, I think, right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Christian, you son of a bitch.
Let's talk about the first one. I think this is equally as important to the movie as just how good the movie is. I mean, you've got the damn Tall Boys, the Jet Blackberries. In my opinion, the second best track on here is the Jet Blackberries, Love Under Will. Fantastic song. I covered that song a year or so ago on my YouTube channel if you want to look that up. And this gave me my love for Stacy Q, but she did a record called under the name SSQ, because she joined SQ, and then when she joined the band, they changed the name to SSQ. And Tonight We'll Make Love Till We Die is such a beautiful, haunting sounding track. And again, this is an original because I just roll like that.
It's fucking hardcore.
The Cramps, Surfin' Dead, classic track. And for a while, this was the only way you could get that song was this vinyl. 45 Graves, Party Time. Everybody knows that. TSOL, The Flesh Eaters, and Rocky Erickson. Burn the Flames. Burn the Flames is the song that plays when James
Karen
is about to kill himself in the incinerator. And I'll burn in the flames, like that song. Garrett, is our backs the same? Did they completely?
I think it does look like that. Let me just, where the heck did I put it?
I'm just wondering if they completely did the same thing again.
Yeah,
it looks like it. Looks like identical.
Yeah.
There's a few things missing on yours, like whatever this is on the left. This Enigma.
Oh yeah, this red. This is just like a barcode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jealous. So jealous.
My wife knew I wanted this, so she made sure she got me one with the hype sticker because I'm obsessed with. If it's got a hype sticker on it, I need to have it. So yeah, Return of the Living Dead, top 5 greatest horror soundtracks ever. Even if you're not a fan of punk rock, it just works. But equally as good, but not enough people talk about it, is Return of the Living Dead 2 soundtrack. Joe Lamont did his most incredible theme for this called Flesh to Flesh. One of the best 80s AOR hair metal tracks I've ever heard. Here's an example of a record that is all under the same record label. All these bands were under Deaf Island. And this is from Lorimar Movie Pictures, which they only did a couple movies because Lorimar was a TV company, but Lorimar Pictures did Return 2. But this soundtrack gave me my love for Julian Cope, who is now one of my top 5 artists ever. And he has one of my favorite records ever called Saint Julian, which also has Space Hopper on it. But I also discovered great bands like Leatherwolf from this record. And I'd never heard of Leatherwolf. Now I'm a big fan of the band. And they have an amazing track on here called Alone in the Night, which is just a great kind of Wasp style metal track where it's not like heavy metal like chugga chugga chugga, but it's got that, not to be funny, but like it's got that edge to it the way like a Wasp track would. So a great song, and it has the absolute best version of the Monster Mash I've ever heard from the band called the Big O. It's just very synthy and boppy, and it's super catchy, and it works. So Return of the Living Dead 2 soundtrack is, in my opinion, just as good as part 1, just very different. But I love the soundtrack to death. I went out of my way and got this record from Denmark back in 2013 because I needed it because I just needed it. That's probably why it says import. But yes, it's one of my favorites. So 2 for 1 right there.
Killer choices.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of that part 2 vinyl, man. The one on eBay right now is like $280. And it's terrible quality too. So fuck.
I'll just throw this one out there just because we kind of touched upon it. I had it over here. There's the big songs on it that and that's just Pet Sematary soundtrack. Oh yeah.
Yep.
So we know that when you get the Ramones song on there and whatnot.
Sheena as a punk rocker's on there too.
Yep.
Like I said, the song Pet Sematary is absolutely fantastic. And yes, Horror Collector, I would say to a lot of collectors, if you got the hype sticker on there, it's a little bit more valuable. Like I kind of go out of my way to try to get those, but at the 11th hour, I'll give up and get over myself. But yeah, I got the Pet Sematary. I got this years ago, and I used to tell people, Gary, I remember I would tell people that got the Steelbook. I was like, oh, they use the vinyl art. And they were like, huh? I was like, oh, way before Mondo put out that Blu-ray, they did a record and used that art, and they repurposed that art for the
Steelbook.
They repurposed that art. So there you go. Good pick. All right, I got a few more left. I got 2 more left, so I don't know how much you guys got left. I got my second favorite soundtrack of all time, and then my all-time favorite soundtrack. And no, it's not Brandon's. So go ahead.
Is it my turn? Okay, so I don't have this record on vinyl, and I can kick myself in the ass. I've been trying to track it down for a decent price, but I just cannot find it. But the soundtrack is probably one of my favorite horror soundtracks ever. It's just something so cozy about it. I love listening to it. I just feel like I'm at Keokla record station when I listen to the soundtrack. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 has a killer fucking soundtrack.
Boingo Boingo.
Yeah, Oingo Boingo, No One Lives Forever. It's got Goo Goo Muck by the Cramps, Haunted Head by Concrete Blonde, Life is Hard by Timbuk 3, which is a killer fucking song. It's also got Shame on You by Timbuk 3. Strange Things Happen by Stuart Copeland, which is an absolute... that's my favorite track on the record, I think.
I want
It's
that
all-
on vinyl very, 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 very bad.
Do you not have it? I figured one of you guys would have that because there's one on eBay right now, but it's pricey.
Is it an original?
It's an original one.
See, yeah, I know that it got reissued, and
I found
believe
I
it's
found
got
the reissued
songs on it.
vinyls, but it's just the score. The
Oh,
actual
is it?
contemporary, yeah, it's the contemporary
Oh.
soundtrack's not on it, which fucking
It's
sucks.
probably waxwork. Yeah, I mean,
It's probably the waxwork one.
you
Yeah.
gotta have Oingo Boingo. No
Yeah.
One Lives Forever is like one of the like.
Dude.
It's like
Yeah.
one of the. It sounds like a haunted roller coaster ride when you listen to.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
It has a really good score too. Like I want to get that new vinyl that came out. I think it's like bright yellow colored, right? But it's just
The score is the score for TCM2 is
Great.
probably my favorite TCM movie
It's-
score.
great score. I need to buy that too, but I really want that original vinyl because there was never a CD made either. I don't think there's not a CD in existence or a cassette. I think it was just vinyl in
I wouldn't be
'86.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
It's
I need it.
difficult. Yeah, it's difficult, man. I wish I would have had the foresight to just like power through a bunch of those soundtracks back in 2010, 11 when I first started getting into vinyl because I would have got them fairly cheap.
Yeah,
But I was
they're-
into laser discs. I've got all these
Right.
things. I've got all of these on laser disc. I've got
Yeah.
part 2 in a frame in my bedroom. It's signed by Bill Moseley.
right.
He wrote Bubba's Got a Girlfriend. He's like, what quote do you want on your laser disc? I said, I want Bubba's Got a Girlfriend. And I remember he goes, Bubba's Got a Girlfriend. Like he said it back to me. And I just was nervous. This is my first kind. I was like, oh, yes, sir. So, yeah, I put all my money in a laser disc back then. So I know sometimes I kick myself in the ass, but then again, laser discs are pricey as hell.
Yeah,
too, so.
they are. Yeah, I think you have a really cool collection with that because there's not many people that do, and it's nice to see. You know,
Yeah, I remember I showed you last night. I got My Demon Lover.
that's wild that you'd have something like that. Like, did you just randomly buy that, or did you buy like a horror lot or something, and that just happened to be in there one day?
So
Because it's just so funny to me, be like, oh, he's searching for Demon Lover or whatever.
dude, the reason I got into all this stuff is because like I'm such an inquisitive son of a bitch, almost to a fault. Like I'm super nosy about everything, right? So I'm watching Family Ties, one of my favorite shows of all time. And I was like literally just looking up Justine Bateman. What movies did Justine Bateman do? And then I went to Scott Valentine. Like, what movies did Scott Valentine do? Then I found that he had the worst pilot in history because they were going to do a spinoff of Family Ties and it was going to be called The Art of Being Nick. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's on YouTube. It was, and it
Sounds like a new series you should have on your channel.
dude. It literally dropped the biggest. It dropped ratings worse than like Twin Peaks did. Like it was worse than the Dana Carvey show. The ratings for Art of Being Nick did this after like 5 minutes of the show starting. Had one pilot that aired on TV, and then NBC completely pulled the plug after just the pilot airing. But then I saw that he did a movie called My Demon Lover, and at the time I was getting laser discs, and I was like, okay, let me get My Demon Lover. And that movie has the song Let Go that you hear in Night of the Creeps, that let go, da 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 da. You know that song? Da da. Let Go is in My Demon Lover. So that's
funny. I didn't know that.
My Demon Lover is where I found that song and fell in love with it. And then it wasn't until I saw Night of the Creeps, I was like, oh shit, like that same song's in this movie too. So interestingly enough, like My Demon Lover is what I think of when I hear that song play, because that was the first movie I saw between those two. And it's not a great movie. It's really a baby horror film, if you will. Because like Scott Valentine turns into a monster because he gets cursed, but the girl still loves him. It's like a Beauty and the Beast for like 12-year-olds instead of 6-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, I have a DVD was put out by Warner Archive, I think, and I think that's like the last time it's been released on physical. I think it's got an audience now. If it got, if it got some kind of Shout Factory. I think that's what I was just gonna say. I could see Scream Factory putting that just like a regular Blu-ray edition or something. People would buy it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Whose turn was it? Who just went?
It's yours, I think.
My turn.
Yeah.
All right, my second favorite horror movie soundtrack of all time is 1991's Freddy's Dead.
I knew it. I knew that was coming.
This is one of my most prized collectibles in my Elm Street collection. I had to import this from London. It was not pressed on vinyl in America at all. Vinyl had kind of taken a back seat by this point. There were a few records, big records in 1990 that got put out, like Warrant's Cherry Pie, Iggy Pop's Brick by Brick, a few other stuff. Winger's second record from 1990 got pressed on vinyl in America, but by that point, America's kind of had moved on. This soundtrack is fucking incredible. This has got the real kind of Goo Goo Dolls on there. But Johnny Law has 2 songs on here that are just so fantastic. Whenever you see John Doe get shoved out of the bus into, he hits that rock, and you hear that bow bow da na now na now, that song, great. So that's where I found out Johnny Law. One of my favorite hip hop artists, Chub Rock, is on Freddy's Revenge. Freddy's Dead, I mean. The Junk Monkeys, Iggy Pop is on here. And one of my favorite songs of all time, I think their picture is on here. I'm not really into prog metal at all, to be honest with you. There are some prog bands I like Rush and stuff. But there's a picture of Iggy Pop. Fate's Warning has a song called Nothing Left to Say. And it's one of the most emotional, progressive, fascinating songs to listen to. And it gets better as the song keeps going. So I don't care about people's opinion on Freddy's Dead. I get it. It's not everybody's cup of tea. You will not disrespect the soundtrack. This is one of the greatest soundtracks ever assembled for a movie, and it's not even close to me. But this is my second favorite, so keep that in mind. This is not my favorite. This is my second favorite horror movie soundtrack ever.
Well, if we were playing like cards or something like that, and you left me with this pick right now, we should probably just do it together. I think because it's got to be your favorite. It's got to be.
Brant, you talking to Brandon?
No, I'm talking to you. I'm about to pull one right now, which is my favorite. It's got to be yours.
No,
you haven't pulled it yet.
I guarantee you, your number one is not my number one.
Okay,
I'm just not bringing. I'm not bringing up what you guys are about to say. But go
ahead. Because you knew we were going to say it.
I knew you guys were going to say it, and I'm a fan, so we can get into it. We can get into it.
Cry, little sister.
No, time out. What's your favorite song off of the record?
Probably Lost in the Shadows. I'm going to say
Lou Reed, right?
Yep. Oh, Lou Gramm.
Lou Gramm, excuse me.
Yeah.
I think one of the more underrated tracks on the Lost Boys soundtrack is Power Play, the song Power Play by Eddie and the, what's the name of the group? I forget the name.
Eddie and the Tide.
Eddie and the Tide. Yeah.
When does that pop in the music on the movie? Do you know? That's when I would really know it. It's not the one
he's in the comic book shop, right? Like the second time or something.
Okay, that's when it comes.
Or maybe it's in the VHS store.
As soon as I hear these songs, I know exactly where they're placed in the movie, just because I've seen this movie just so many times. And even that song, and I don't know the name of it from the top of my head, but the one that's at the end credits is really good too.
Yeah,
I love that soundtrack, and
it's so good.
I think the best song, when you crank it up loud, is undeniably Tim Capello's I Still Believe.
I don't climb this road.
I mean,
this hill.
It's so good. And seeing that live, it just solidified. That song it's an all-purpose song. When you're happy, it doesn't really make you sad, but it just kind of makes you think. But when you're really sad, that song will motivate the shit out of you. You can run to that song. You can work out to that song. You can chill to that song. You can drive to that song. Oh, cool. You got the cassette tape.
Yeah, I just realized I had it over there. Yeah.
I'm dying to get the Lost Boys on vinyl. I need it. I mean, I just need it for the Tim Capello track. But like, honestly,
it is being re-released if it isn't already.
I think it was re-released, and they're doing like a standard version now, like a black vinyl, which is what I want, if that's what it is. I need it so bad. I don't care about getting an original. It's criminal that I don't. You know, I've said before, The Lost Boys is not my favorite vampire film. I take Fright Night over Lost Boys. But in terms of soundtrack, no contest. You're not beating.
I just still think it's tight. Like, we did a whole show on like Lost Boys versus Fright Night, and it was like we had categories. The soundtrack was there, and movie was there, and they're tighter than people think. I think on both ends. Like, we were just talking about Fright Night. It's a freaking banger of a soundtrack. You know, it's tough.
It's great. But what matters to me is the structure of the actual, not the movie and not just song for song, but the structure of listening to the record. I think Lost Boys is flawless in terms of putting the needle on the first track and letting it play. It's smooth as butter. No pun intended, Brandon. But like that for Fright Night, it's good songs. And I like a lot of the songs, but it feels a little uneven listening to it top to bottom. You go through different emotions, but to me, Lost Boys start to finish, when you listen to the record top to bottom, it's incredible. And Lou Gramm, I said Lou Reed, not Lou Reed. Lou Gramm, who was the singer for, I believe, Foreigner.
Yes.
Left the band by that point. Lou Gramm has got just one of the best. He's just got a powerful voice, and that song is great that he did. But I take the Lost Boys over Fright Night soundtrack. Although Fright Night soundtrack is fantastic, but Lost Boys to me is just where it's at.
Where do you guys stand on People Are Strange by Echo and the Bunnymen? Because I'll take that version over the Doors version. And I'm not even ashamed to say that.
I love that version. And I think because I was more familiar with that version first.
Yeah.
So that's why for me, I heard that song first on there. And then I remember my dad being like, oh, that's a Doors song or whatever. And then he ended up letting me listen to the album. And I was like, oh yeah, but I think because of just the nostalgia of it, I prefer that one better.
Well, not only that, let's be real. I mean, like, the 80s production is some of the most beloved sound of music till this day. I mean, that's the reason bands like Crazy Licks are so popular, because not only did they write 80s, but the production, they like that massive drum, big reverb snare sound. Like, it sounds like the songs are, when you listen to 80s records from, like, whether it be Cinderella or whether it be, I don't know, Warrant's Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich, the records sound gigantic. They sound live. And a lot of the production after that, it got tight, clicky kick drums. Everything sounded closed and compacted. And that's just the way music kind of changed. Nirvana actually sounds pretty big, but Nevermind record. But like the production of bands today, I really can't stand it. It's so tight. The drums are so tight. They're big, but they sound so tight. There's no reverb. There's no bigness to it.
Now let me ask you this, because you know a lot about this stuff and whatnot, and I feel like you really dig deep into music, and I always wonder that too, because when you listen to, like, you know, I always talk about 80s hair bands because it's stuff that I just really love, and like you said, it has that big feel. Like when they have those choruses and stuff, it just feels huge. Like, I mean, man, like Still of the Night or something like that with the violin and all that stuff. Like, there's nothing out there now that's like even comes close to just how big and powerful that felt. And you wonder why, like, bands like Crazy Licks and stuff that are doing these kind of things, and even like someone like the Midnight, who are doing a little bit more different style, not necessarily rock, but are not more popular due to the fact that a lot of people still like will listen to those old 80s tracks. It could be 80s pop or not or whatever, but you know, the rock and roll scene is so dead in the water right now, I feel like, in like pop culture, that like, why is something like this, they don't just take what worked and be like, let's just do it now. Like, when new bands just kind of mimic that sound, it's just weird that sound is just gone, and it seems like it'll never be back again. And these songs, you know, I went to go see like Def Leppard this summer, and it was like the stadium was freaking packed, and just hearing some of those songs live, it was like, I just feel like it's just timeless, and you wonder why people don't even try to like mimic that
authenticity. I mean, because I like Crazy Licks and they're a great sounding band, but I don't know if I would go out of my way to go see them live. Because like when you listen to the nostalgia factor, man, I mean, like, and I think people realize too, bands like, we've only got a few more years left of seeing bands not only perform as good as they are, but just in general. Like, to see Def Leppard, you will never forget that night when you go see them. You're gonna, even if like, that's the kind of concert that I guarantee you, I haven't been able to see Def Leppard, but I guarantee you, if you saw them live, I don't care whether you were a big fan before or after, they make you a fan when you see them.
I totally agree. And I also think that if anybody has the opportunity to see a band like Def Leppard, even like you said, like Alice Cooper, you're seeing, right? So if you have never seen these bands and you're a fan of them, I would say I would not look at it and be like, well, they're old now. Like, man, I was so blown away by freaking Def Leppard when I saw them. And this was just this summer that I just couldn't. It was the first time I'd ever seen them live. And I was just like, man, I would see them next year. I would see them in 5 years if they were still performing. And it still sounds, and it's still done really large and great, even though that they're a lot older now. So I would highly recommend, if people see these bands coming around, like give them a chance. Like, I even saw Winger like a couple years ago. I saw Sebastian Bach perform the whole Skid Row album like in 2019. And it was like I was standing there in the fucking 80s. It was that good.
Yeah. And he was really young when he recorded that record. So Sebastian's, by all accounts, not even old yet, you know? So like, that would be a concert to see. You can step in here, sitting past me that. But yeah, seeing that would be incredible. Now, really, let me just chime in real quick. Somebody in the chat, Pat Master, will not stop about the Wraith. He will not stop. My favorite song from the Wraith is absolutely Ozzy's Secret Loser. And I have Ultimate Sin, which has Secret Loser on it. So there you go, Pat Master. Will not. I love you, brother. He keeps talking about the Wraith.
Good
In the
movie, too.
soundtrack. So yeah, Secret Loot. This is. I don't know if either of you guys will agree. I think Brandon will. In terms of 80s output, I think Ultimate Sin is absolutely top tier. This is one of my favorite Ozzy records. Shot in the Dark is also one of my favorites. That's on here too. But yes,
Love
Secret
it.
Loser, which was like a B-side track. Look at the listing on here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is a great record. And Secret Loser, I don't know if the Wraith got a vinyl, but yes, Secret Loser, fucking amazing song from Ozzy. That's on there. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Gary.
No, I just think I just always wonder that, because I just feel like it's just sad to see rock music where it's at. Even when we were growing up, or when I was growing up, like, it was still there. It was like, you know, we had things like the Korn and Marilyn Manson, and it was a little more on the heavier side, but it was still front and center. Like, you could still listen to radio stations, and they'd be like, you know, the top 5 or top 10 or whatever. Now I'm like, I don't even know if it exists unless it's in like little niche groups. It's like in my area, it's country and like pop and hip hop. That's it.
Well, you know, I had a conversation about this the other day. Like, dude, I don't think people are as connected to bands and records and songs like they were back then. Dude, perfect example. I'm a little bit younger than you guys, but I certainly, and I think I'm the last, maybe not the last, I might be the second to last generation that really experienced getting truly connected to stuff because I had no other choice. When American Idiot came out, that record changed the world. You couldn't get away from it. It was so big. And when you went back in 2004, when we got that CD as a family, because this stuff was so big, that record was so big when it came out, my family was involved with listening to it. We put American Idiot in the CD player. That stayed in the CD player for like 2 or 3 months. And we listened to it top to bottom because that's what you did. You know, you just listen to the record and you get that record becomes a part of your DNA. It becomes part of your body. That is gone today. Now, there are people that become fans of bands. I'm not saying that people as a whole aren't doing this. I'm sure you guys find bands you like and you want to listen to every single track. But the accessibility to say, oh, what's his face has a new record out? Cool. Let me check out that one song. Boom. And you're on Spotify and you're like, oh, let me pull up another band real quick. You couldn't do that back then. Mm-hmm. So when you got the new American Idiot record, you sat there and you listened to that's what you did. You listened to every song. Do you know how crazy it is to think that back then, like a 9-minute song called Jesus of Suburbia became a part of Americana? Like, you think you can make a 9-minute song and become a part of the world now? No. Nobody's attention span's like that no more. That kind of getting into music that way is completely gone now because the accessibility is so easy. Nobody's putting in or going to Spotify even and starting a record. The average person, I don't think, is doing that. So I think that kind of is part of why you're wondering, why are people, because dude, you go to a Def Leppard show, even if they weren't the super radio hits, I guarantee you everybody sang every goddamn song that they did. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, unless you become big fans of bands now and you see people like that, it's just not the same. It's just not the same.
Well, I know you and I had talked about this too, and it's kind of off topic and off subject, but talking about how like bands like that, they had like the big choruses, everything was big. And then you said everything's kind of tight knit now. One of my favorite albums, which it's not current, but in my head, I'm like, I live in this weird world where like anything of like the last 15 years is still seems current to me. And this album, and you know, we've talked about this too. I've kind of got a connection to this singer where I would love to talk about this. 18 Visions was like one of my favorite bands growing up in like my 20s. And they put out an album with self-titled album, 18V, if you want to call it that. And it was something very different than anything they'd ever done. And it was basically their last chance to put everything they had into this album, money. They put their own money in. They put everything they had to basically say, we're going to make an album that's different, that's going to blow the world away in this rock scene. This was like around the time where Avenged Sevenfold was like kind of breaking through, and they wanted to kind of follow that path. And they did that album, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not, but it's fucking fantastic. And some of the songs in it are like big ballads, like you would hear from like an 80s hair band or something like that. And everything is very big. The choruses are big. you can tell that there was so much, like every time he sang a chorus, like they must have did like, what do you call it when you just do like layers and layers of his voice?
Multi-tracking. They
was
probably
insane.
pan multi-tracking. Yeah.
And
The
when I bought
production
that
is-
the first day, I was like, this album is gonna blow this world away in this rock era, and it flopped, and it was a failure, and they broke up right after that because it was like they felt like they had
They were
nothing
defeated.
left. Yeah, and it's sad because people that are fans of them look at that album because it's so different as like the biggest piece of crap ever. Yes, so they're back. They're kind of back to more their original style and stuff like that. But he went on to burn Halo and all that stuff and did his thing.
He did,
and they came out with another band which is pretty cool called Never Enough and whatever. But anyway, like if you guys haven't heard that album and regardless if you're fans of them or not, like I would say listen to that. A song like Broken Hearted, a song like I don't remember all the names, but the first song as well. I would listen to it. I would actually say if you're not fans of
Our
18
Darkest
Visions,
Days.
yes, listen to it because I think it's an album that people really slept on, and it was something different that came out around
It
that
is
time.
a gothic pyromania, is what it is.
Mm.
It's one of the best records from the 2000s, unequivocally. And I fell in love with it the first time I heard it. And every song is sounds like a single. Every song has that big chorus, that hook. We'll Be Tonightless is one of the best written songs I've ever heard in that genre. And they couldn't break. They could not break. They were every bit as good as any of those Orange County bands, Bleeding Through, Avenged Sevenfold, Atreyu, and just as good as any of those bands. And for some reason, they just could not break. I blame the label more than anything, because unless you really kind of were into that scene, you weren't going to hear about 18 Visions. That's the problem. And also, I don't know what kind of tours that they were doing. I wonder if they were trying to do their own tours instead of trying to get on with big bands.
They were, because I saw them when they performed that album and they headlined the show. So they were doing their own tours. And I think, like you said, actually, you know what?
They should have gotten on some big tours.
They did get on a big tour. They got on a tour with Avenged Sevenfold. It was Avenged Sevenfold, I think, Kill Switch Engage, and them. And that was a pretty good tour that they were on. But then after that tour ended, they headlined their own tour. And I'm trying to think of the band Confessions or something open for them. So this kind of same thing like Orange County band. And yeah, man, it just sucks. And you talk to any 18 Visions fan, and they're gonna shit on that album because it was so different, right? Than what they're used to. So that's when they came back, they went back to their old school style to get all their old fans back. But I highly recommend everybody checking out that self-titled 18 Visions album because I think it's like one of the most underrated albums, I think.
So
that I've
good.
heard. Yeah.
Every song just hits you in the feels. Okay, Garrett, did you just you picked the Lost Boys?
Yeah, that was my last one. I mean, I have a bunch of like stuff that can be considered kind of like honorable mentions, or maybe it's more of a score than a soundtrack. But when you guys are all done, if you have anything that you just want to chuck up and show, like we can do it.
Brandon, before we go to your pick, I don't know if this is your last bring up. We did mention Shocker, but I do want to ask you guys: do you have a favorite song off of the Shocker soundtrack? Is it the opening track from the Dudes of Wrath, or what do you
I'm not
guys
familiar
think?
enough with that record to know.
Oh, dude, there's a couple songs that are absolute bangers for people. It's obviously the opening track from the Dudes of Wrath, which is Paul Stanley and Desmond Child on vocals. My favorite song is Iggy Pop's Love Transfusion. But one of the most popular songs off that record is called Sword and Stone from a band called Bonfire. You are the sword, I am the stone, I stand forever. It's a big song. It plays on the Blu-ray menu from the Scream Factory disc. Now, the interesting thing about that, Brandon, you should know this. Paul Stanley wrote that song for the Crazy Nights record, and the stupid producer of that record said, this doesn't work. It's not in line with the other songs. I think it would have been a fairly big hit for Kiss had they put it out. But Bonfire did a very good job with the song on the record. But yes, my favorite song is Iggy Pop's song, Love Transfusion, which Alice has a song on the record. It's not a great song. Alice was supposed to sing Love Transfusion, but he didn't like the song, so they passed it to Iggy Pop, and Iggy killed it. Iggy did a great job with it. So, yeah, there we go. So Shocker. I mean, of course, we're going to bring that up. That's a great one. But Brandon, go ahead. What's your pick?
I'm sort of out of physical media now, but I only have 3 choices left. I can talk about. I can kind of blow through them real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I got one left.
I got three. I'll just do these three real quick. I got the soundtrack to Leatherface, Texas
Laws
Chainsaw Massacre 3. Yeah, Laws Rocket, Death Angel, Hurricane, SGM, Madness by Obsession, Wasted Youth. There's a lot of good tracks on that record. That's another one I try to get off eBay, and it's just too pricey. I can't find a really good copy for
CD or something, or a cassette.
I found a CD that was like $75 used. I'm like, dude, Jesus Christ.
Hurricane is a really good hair metal or hair band.
Yeah.
They got that really intense. They're a great. They got some great records that I've listened to.
Yeah. Their song "Spark in My Heart" and that opening credits of that movie is so hard. I love that song.
So good.
By Hurricane.
Yeah.
My next up is "So I Married an Axe Murderer," the soundtrack.
Wow.
Killer soundtrack. Yeah, dude. Saturday Night by Ned's Atomic Dustbin. Great track. Obviously, Two Princes by Spin Doctors. There She Goes. Both versions. You have the Boo Radley's version and the Laws version, which is inferior to the Boo Radley's version, obviously. You got a Toad the Wet Sprocket song on there. You have Rush by Big Audio Dynamite. That's a killer soundtrack. I know it's kind of a weird movie for a lot of people, but I seriously recommend you check out the film and the soundtrack because it's a really good piece of 1993 pop culture. And my last choice would be The Craft. Great soundtrack, great film, such as, like Tomorrow Never Knows by Our Lady Peace. All This by and Nothing by Sponge. Sponge is on everything back then. How Soon Is Now, obviously, by Love Spit Love. And The Horror by Space Hog, which is an awesome underrated song by Space Hog.
And that's your favorite soundtrack of all time?
No, not at all. My favorite soundtrack of all time is Lost Boys. But we already covered that.
Okay, just making just a question. Sponge, dude, like they had that one song I really loved that I was talking to you guys about.
Yeah.
With the candy corn on the front.
First track or whatever.
Dude,
yeah.
Plow
is one of the most well-written songs in that genre I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah. That song encompasses the 90s, I think.
It's so good.
It's like an anthem for that generation.
All right, Brandon. So I'll give you guys my favorite, then we can kind of talk because there's actually a movie I'm ashamed that none of us brought up from the last episode, but I'll get there. All right, so the number one soundtrack of all time, and it has nothing to do with my fandom for the movies. I swear to Christ, the number one of all time is A Nightmare on Elm Street 4: The Dream Master, the greatest movie soundtrack I've ever heard. There you go. That song's not even on here, by the way. The Tuesday night.
It's not, huh?
No.
Oh.
So this was put out by Chrysalis Records. New Line did a deal with Chrysalis. This is one of the greatest. This is the greatest horror movie soundtrack ever. You got the Sea Hags on here, which was like a great kind of like grindy punk band. The Angels, Standing Over You is a Slammin' Motorheads track. One of the most well-written songs I've ever heard in my life from the band Go West. Go West had songs in Demons, as you know, Brandon. Don't Be Afraid of Your Dreams. If you've never listened to it, I did a really shitty cover of it in the beginning of this video. Back to the Wall by the Divinals. The Divinals is one of the best bands from their time. The singer has passed away. My Way the Highway, Jimmy Davis and Junction. Love Kills by Vinnie Vincent Invasion, who was sang by Mark Slaughter from the band Slaughter. This was the band he was in before Slaughter. Vinnie Vincent, the former guitarist of Kiss. Vinnie could write melodic music like nobody's business, and they actually have the hype sticker for Love Kills from the Vinnie Vincent Invasion band. Vigil, Blondie, Love Hate, Craig Safan. Now, the reason this is my favorite soundtrack of all time is not only that it's so well mixed with different genres, but it plays perfectly from top to bottom. It's one of the most enjoyable soundtracks to listen to, start to finish, that I've ever heard. For me, this is hands down the greatest horror movie soundtrack ever. Not necessarily because of the placement in the movies. You don't really hear it that well. But in terms of soundtracks, top to bottom, this is the GOAT to me of all time. And I can't emphasize enough how well written of a song Don't Be Afraid of Your Dreams is. It's hypnotic. So this is my all-time favorite. There you go. Which is nobody else's favorite.
No, I was actually shocked that was up there as your favorite. Like I said, I know the movie and I know some of the songs in the movie, but the only song I really, really remembered was the Tuesday Night one.
Yeah, I have her I have her LP. She did a record in '87. Interesting story. That song is not in the movie. Not necessarily because they probably just didn't want to put it in there. I did a lot of research. That song that Tuesday sang, they had already started pressing the vinyl soundtrack by the time that song was picked. That song was picked very last minute. I forgot the other tracks that were going to be used for that, but Tuesday Night song was thrown in last second. Tuesday has talked about it. When she saw the movie for the first time, she was shocked that her song was used in it. Cinema Drum, I have the Fat Boys 12-inch single for Are You Ready for Freddy? I'm sorry I did not pull that. I probably should have, but I do have it. I've shown it off in previous videos, but I do have the 12-inch for the Fat Boys Are You Ready for Freddy? Which Garrett actually has the 12-inch for the Fresh Prince. Interesting story about that, Garrett. I don't know if you know this. That's the version I want. That's a great single. That's the 12-inch. Great artwork, A Nightmare on My Street, DJ Jazzy. Oh, and you've also got Freddy's Greatest Hits. Great record. It's not at all what you think is on that Freddy's Greatest Hits record.
No.
So interesting story about that, Garrett.
Yeah.
That has no affiliation with A Nightmare on Elm Street 4 whatsoever. New Line or Chrysalis, I don't know what happened. They decided to pick the Fat Boys Are You Ready for Freddy over that song. And if you watch the music video for that song, A Nightmare on My Street, before the video plays, it says this song has no affiliation with the character Freddy Krueger or Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Both great songs. I'm a little bit more partial to the Fat Boy song because I love Beatbox's voice, but that is a banger track too, the Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff track. So I do want to track that down.
Yeah, it's got a couple versions of it too. It says Nightmare on My Street extended mix, Nightmare on My Street single mix, rhythm tracks house party style, A Nightmare on My Street instrumental. So it's got four tracks on there,
The Bobby Brown 12-inch I have from Ghostbusters 2 is the exact same thing. There's like a dance mix, an extended mix, single mix, and instrumental. But that was popular for a while, doing instrumental mixes on those 12-inch singles. But you can also get the Fat Boy song "Are You Ready for Freddy" on the Coming Back Hard Again, which is far and away their best LP to me. They did the best version of the Twist I've ever heard. I'd like to track that down. I don't have much Fat Boys on vinyl besides the single, but if anybody that's watching this, if anybody's has not listened to the Nightmare 4 soundtrack, don't watch the movie to get it. You have to go on YouTube or whatever and listen to the soundtrack and listen to it top to bottom. It plays so well and it mixes genres beautifully. Unlike how I think Fright Night is, which is great as a soundtrack, it is. Fright Night sounds a little uneven when you listen to it top to bottom, but Nightmare 4 blows my fucking balls away at how good it is. So I got to stop because I'll keep going, but that is far and away my favorite soundtrack of all time.
That was a good one, man. I mean, like I said, I'm not too familiar with the whole soundtrack, but obviously it must be pretty good. It probably something I got to pay attention to next time I watch it.
You would love the Love Kill song because I know you're a Slaughter fan, and you should. If you're not familiar with Vinnie Vincent Invasion, the second he put out 2 records, and Mark, the reason he became, you know what Slaughter is? Slaughter is Vinnie Vincent Invasion without Vinnie Vincent. That's what the band became. They got a different drummer because Bobby Rock went on to drum for Nelson and had a #1 record in 1990 with those guys. So I have a lot of useless information with hair metal stuff. I
love hearing about it because, again, like I'm a big fan, but like there's only so deep that I know. And it seems like it's so funny because I always, dug into these albums, but it feels like you spent years and years digging into every album, like there's always like a couple albums that I was always like partial to. So for Slaughter, I like always listen to the same like album like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But no, it's good to hear that.
Well, there you go. That's my #1, and the other guys, you can't argue with the Lost Boys. Like I get it, man. I'm such a fan of the soundtrack. I want to own it so bad. I will. I'd take a cassette. I'd take a vinyl. I don't care. I'd get a repress. It doesn't matter. I got to have Tim Capello on vinyl. And I think that's the only way you can have that song because Tim put out a record a few years ago called Blood on the Reed, but it's a re-recording of that song. Yeah. And as much as no disrespect to Tim, but you're not beating that 80s production that he got and that youth he had. So
I had that CD of his. I got it signed through the mail because I pre-ordered it from him, and it says to Brandon, still a true believer on it. I should have popped that out. It's on the rack somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's sick.
I love Tim, dude. He won me over.
I got to see him. I got to meet him.
He killed it. Sydney would even tell you she didn't know what to expect. She was like, that was insane. The second he opened the door to come through, he kicked everybody's ass. He was in the crowd, like just backing it up on people. And then he did Tequila. He did it. And it's on the record. You have his version of Tequila with the saxophone. It's insane how high energy it is. It's fucking incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, cool.
I love Tim. What else you guys want to bring up? We got a few minutes left.
I can just throw a couple hidden gems or whatever. Vamp, the soundtrack for Vamp.
Fucking
Rock and Roll Nightmare, which is kind of like the counterpart to Black Roses. So there's a lot of good tracks on that one as well.
Yes.
I have this one here. I mean, it's got. I love Angela's song or whatever, that one at the end. I freaking love that song. Night of the Demons, and then Demons 1 and 2.
Demons 2 has the cult in it.
So
Cult.
Great soundtracks over there. And then, I have like other ones like over here. Like, again, this is more score like, but always a big fan of the Phantasm.
Very cool.
Creepshow 2. Too bad it didn't have that freaking song on it though. The metal song doesn't.
The
have
Lex Luger song
doesn't have it. It's annoying. Obviously, the Creepshow.
Yeah, I need to get Creepshow 2 on vinyl though.
Goblin on the Dawn.
Oh, I was gonna say, I need to get that.
I mean, I have a bunch of I have the Maniac soundtrack, the one with Elijah Wood, that's got a pretty sick soundtrack on it. Which is the remake. I got that on vinyl over here. I had this. I didn't know if you've got this.
I have that.
You have that?
Yeah, it's up on the shelf.
And then it's got all the different
scores. Yeah.
Soundtracks.
I don't have that. I have a lot of Death Waltz. I have Death Waltz. I have the very first Death Waltz Part 2 that he ever put out, and Part 3. And when he did a short run of cassettes, I used to talk to the guy that ran Death Waltz back in the day. I've got some of the first cassettes he ever made when he released those, but that box set's cool.
I have all the Friday the 13th singles, like all the scores from like Waxwork or whoever put those all out. I have all the Friday the 13th ones.
Right.
And then this is pretty cool. This is the Gate soundtrack, but it's got the sacrifice, it's the vinyl that looks like in the movie or whatever. So I thought that was kind of neat.
That is cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of about it. I do have Freddy's Nightmares back there, but I know you have that as well, right?
Yeah. A lot of people in the chat were bringing up Freddy versus Jason, and quite frankly, I really thought for some reason in my bones I was like, Brandon's going to bring that up. If not, I mean, I really do want to.
I almost did. It's a good soundtrack,
dude. You've got Il Nino, Seven Dust. I mean,
Chimera's on there.
It's killer.
Slipknot's on there.
Is Kill Switch on that as well?
Yeah,
I think so. Marilyn Manson's on there too, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's on there. Like that was when that movie came out. Because remember in 2003, that new kind of hip hop was really hot at the time. So I was really surprised to see that the soundtrack was all heavy metal. Even back then, I was like, "Oh, this is a surprise." I'm surprised. It's such a hardcore album. Like even in the movie itself, when that logo came on the screen, and it was that fucking. I think it was the Kill Switch Engage song.
I just remember, I believe. And that's old school Kill Switch. That's like baby Kill Switch.
I thought you were going to bring up Resident Evil with the Kill Switch. That song is so sick. Is that Resident Evil, or I always get it confused, or is it Underworld that they had that I'll be waiting. You don't know?
Not sure.
I don't know.
It was like, I think it was at the end credits of it. It was either Resident Evil or Underworld, but it was like one of Kill Switch's first big hits. It's a freaking banger of a song.
I kept seeing Scream in the chat. Scream did have a really good soundtrack. So did Part 2.
I want to say Seven Dust was on one of the Scream movies too.
I think the third one.
Maybe it was. Yeah, I think it was the third one.
Third one was decent too, actually.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think if there's anything last minute.
What?
Garrett, how did we not? Garrett, we both loved the Midnight. How did we not bring up Terrifier 2?
Oh, that's right. I love it, man.
Killer track in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a killer. The Midnight, they're doing it, man, and they sound authentic as hell.
Yeah, I've seen them live. It's fantastic. I've got tickets to see them in October. I can't wait because it's one of the best modern concerts I've been to in a long time. It's just, you look around that room and it's like everybody of like, you could like it's almost like you take a movie and you've got like different cliques. Like you got like a preppy group over here, then all these like metal heads over here, and like but then everybody's singing and hugging to like the midnight sing-alongs and shit. It's so fun. I would definitely recommend checking them out.
Woo! Pretty good little soundtrack on Slaughterhouse Rock too. And I hate the movie, but I do listen to the soundtrack for Hard Rock Zombies. This movie's just disgustingly bad. It looks like shit, but the soundtrack's fun.
I love all those like 80s rock horror movies. I love all that shit.
Anything else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could bring up. I don't know. I think we covered a lot, dude. Like In the Mouth of Madness had that really cool little down now.
Did you know that was supposed to be Metallica? Did you know that little tidbit?
No, I didn't know that.
That was supposed to be Enter Sandman, and at the last second they couldn't. Something happened with like how much they wanted, so they pulled it and they came out with that, which is almost like a rip on it. Like if you listen to the way it sounded, it's almost like a generic-y Enter Sandman.
Damn it! I like the track though. It does sound good. Is there anything else you guys can bring up? Because there's one thing I wanted to mention before we got done. But
sure. What do you want to mention?
I was gonna say when we go to the non-horror soundtracks, I literally the second we got done and like I was like, I can't believe I didn't bring it up. One of the best non-horror soundtracks is the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg.
I love that movie. Yeah.
And people need to realize that song "And We All Die Young" is from a band called Steelheart. That is fucking incredible. And they released that song in 95. Obviously, it did nothing because Brandon had already started listening to crap like Soundgarden and all that. So he moved on from hair metal. But they released this amazing record Steelheart did in 95. And it got a second life, or really a first life, in the movie Rockstar. And they changed the composition of the song in Rockstar. And because that movie made the song so popular, Steelheart performs the song the way it's done in the movie now. But if you go to Steelheart's on YouTube, on Spotify or iTunes, go look up the records from 95. I forget the name of it, but it's like a picture of a guy in front of like this massive warehouse. It's like a silhouette. And that version of the song is a different composition. But I couldn't believe I forgot to bring up Rockstar.
That's funny. Yeah, that's a good one. It totally went over my head. Yeah, for real. It's a cool movie.
So there's that, you know.
Yeah, man. I like these little soundtrack type videos. You know, it's you just kind of wonder where do we go next. I saw someone in here. Maybe we should do like a score one, which I think would be kind of neat.
We should do non-horror film scores next, and then do horror film scores after that.
We could do that one back on your channel again. The non-horror ones. We could do the horror one back on here again. They're just so fun. And
it's different. You know, it's a nice change up of the norm of like physical media, like just movies and stuff. So it's kind of nice to kind of go into that era, just because we all don't just collect, you know, movies too. We got other shit going on though.
Yeah. We've got to do film scores, man.
Oh, but I'm sorry, I forgot another movie. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The Dickies. The Dickies.
Yeah.
You know, Killer Clowns.
That's a good one too. Yeah, and that score is great too for that movie as well.
Yeah. I don't know if that has a vinyl either.
It does. Well, it has a score vinyl. It just came out. But as far as a soundtrack, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, also in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, there's a killer Great White song in there too. So I'm just saying
that whole Great White thing happened at where I am. That was in my state.
Really?
Yeah, I was actually
talking about the concert where there was the accident.
Yeah. That was like I was asked to go to that, and I was working at a supermarket at the time, and me and this other kid Keith had to end up working, so we didn't go. And thank freaking God, right?
Jesus Christ, the station fire, right?
Yep.
Holy crap, that's insane.
Yeah, if you guys, people in the chat, if you don't know what that we're talking about, there's been YouTube videos talking about it. It was an insane night.
What's so crazy about it is watching the pictures and stuff of people just all wedged in a doorway, and it's like, holy shit! Like if people would have just went out like normal humans, like they could, like a lot of them could have got out. Like I'm like, how do people get wedged like that? You know?
Yeah,
it was wild, man.
That's crazy footage of that shit.
All right, So Justin Smith brings something up. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I'm extremely hard line. Like don't even joke with me about this. Hellraiser 3 does have one of the best soundtracks ever, especially for the 90s, because you've got John Bush's Armored Saint on there with the hanging judge. John Bush has one of the best voices in metal I've ever heard. He took over in Anthrax in 93, not long after this movie came out. He did probably one of the best Anthrax albums of all time, The Sound of White Noise. Brandon, I can tell you're not familiar with it. You need to change that or I will kill you. John Bush has one of Brandon, this is one of the best. I love Joey Belladonna. And Garrett, I don't know if you don't strike me as a big Anthrax fan.
Not really. I mean, I know some of them, but nah.
They're my favorite of the big four. You can keep Metallica. You can keep Slayer. Slayer sounds like shit to me. It all sounds like shit. I can enjoy Megadeth, some records like Rust in Peace and stuff like that. I love Euthanasia. But I get so aggravated when Dave Mustaine talks shit about people's musical performance because I'm like, dude, your voice is not good. But Anthrax is far and away my favorite of the big four. I love Anthrax so much. But that's not what this is about. The song Hellraiser is on the 1992 Motorhead record, March or Die, and it's on the 1991 Ozzy record, No More Tears. They both co-wrote the song. The Motorhead version is absolutely, unequivocally the better version. It's one, and it has nothing to do with the movie. I don't care if Ozzy's version was in Hellraiser 3 and I heard the Motorhead version as well, I still would say the same thing. I don't know how you guys feel, or if you're familiar with both versions. Garrett, you will go listen to Motorhead Hellraiser and then listen to Ozzy's. Lemmy was born to sing that song. He fucking killed it. The production on the Motorhead version is nasty, big. Lemmy's got that AC/DC rasp in the vocals. The Ozzy version is good. It's too tight. Zakk Wylde is too over the place on the guitar. I like Zakk Wylde. That song is far and away the better version is Motorhead. And the music video for Hellraiser, Lemmy is drinking whiskey, playing cards with Pinhead. I
do remember that actually.
Yes, dude. I'm sorry. I love the Motorhead version. Just so I got to get that out there. Yeah, but Hellraiser 3, great soundtrack. I can't believe I forgot to bring that up. And March or Die is a great Motorhead record. I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm a big Motorhead fan, but a lot of people, I get it. They only had one big hit, and that was obvious. Two big hits, really. They had Ace of Spades and Triple H's theme.
Well, the thing is that I think Triple H really ruined it for me with Motorhead because I was into them more, and then after he just kind of everything he did was Motorhead. Every time I hear him now, all I think of is fucking Triple H all the time, like Evolution and his songs and all this stuff.
Motorhead has such a rich history in terms of their records. They've got blues records, they've got metal records, they've got some really good blues records called Snakebite Love, which came out in 1998. They've got some big heavy shit. Sacrifice. They've got just ballroom blues rock and roll stuff, straight ahead rock stuff. Like the album Rock and Roll has a great song called there's so many. It's Orgasmatron it's interesting. Orgasmatron was supposed to be their big comeback album. That was supposed to be a big record for them. They had a lot of promotion for it. It didn't do too well. It was actually panned by the critics. I think it's a good record. But I implore people to actually go back and really just go to Spotify and start from the first record. Motorhead will surprise you at how vast their sound is. A lot of people will just think of Ace of Spades, and luckily, I'm glad that's the song that really broke them into the mainstream because that's a fucking amazing song. That whole record, Ace of Spades, is my favorite record of 1980. I'm sorry, Brandon. It's not Back in Black. Hey, come on, Brandon. You can meet me halfway. Ace of Spades, We Are the Road Crew. The Chase is Better Than the Catch. I mean, that record is fucking flawless. It's flawless, you bastard. But anyway, like I said, I gotta stop. I'm obsessed if I'm into something, Garrett. I
love hearing you talk about it, to be honest with you, because it's funny that you're
go off.
A lot younger than us, and you have all this. It just, to me, it's I listen to a lot of music, growing up, and I don't listen to a lot of it now. Actually, I'm actually it's kind of pathetic. I don't listen to a lot of music anymore.
I go-
Just I think
I
what it has
learned-
to do with time. Like I'll listen to like podcasts or stuff, and then when I'm at work, it's like there's just like a generic stations on and whatnot. So
Well, here's the thing, Garrett. I am still exploring the 70s and 80s.
Mm.
And there are records that I have found now that have become a part of my life that I did not find until this year. There's a band called The Tubes that you've probably heard of. They had some big
I've heard
hits in the
of,
early
but I
80s.
mean, I don't know them for what songs they sing. But I probably heard some. Yeah.
They had hits, but not long lasting hits, right? You know, there are songs that live in the moment, and then there's other songs that stand the test of time. I've become obsessed with The Tubes, and Fee Waybill is one of my favorite singers now. And they've got records that I just found this band, and like other bands, like there's different bands, but like Chill Tuesday, What About
I love
Love?
it.
Like, and then I started
Yeah.
I started finding these bands. And I implore you, and dude, sometimes, and look, I get it. Not everybody's gonna check out stuff when I tell them to check it out. I have sent you some links, like Garrett, check out this album. I just found this.
Mhm.
I even tell you the year. Hey, this is from 1985. Great production, great tracks. Like, dude, I'm finding these 80s bands and 70s bands now, and like they're changing my life. Stuff that did not stand, but dude, it's stuff that is incredible stuff. So. You know, that's my suggestion to you is go on Spotify and pull up Def Leppard and then see other artists that it suggests.
Right.
And go to work, dude. And you will find stuff that you'll probably find stuff, oh, I remember this.
Of
And then you
course.
check out their records. So that's what I've done. And I have a PhD in like glam metal now,
Research.
you know, and like that kind of- I do, man. Because if
Yeah.
I'm into something, I have to know literally every single detail about it. It's really not healthy, to be honest with you.
No, it's good. I mean, it's definitely cool.
You know. But do you guys have anything else you want to add before we finish this? This was really fun and therapeutic for me. Brandon, do you have
I'm good.
anything?
I'm good. I'm ready for film scores, man. Non-horror film scores.
What was that? I'm sorry. I lost signal for a second.
I'm saying I'm ready for non-horror film scores, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
We'll do it. We'll try to set it up for maybe June or something.
Yeah, that sounds great. Really fun. And I have to do a lot of research on that and like watch
Same.
movies and, you know. So now, Garrett, did you answer that question before? Because like I said, my internet trick just.
My headphones just died out, so I switched
What?
them out. What did you ask me?
I just asked if you guys had anything.
Oh
You wanna
no, man,
add-
this was great. This was great. I'm even thinking now, just talking about this, I was like, man, I'd love to do more of like a 80s, rock music show or something like that, and talk about some albums and stuff that maybe we should check out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. So we're completely a PhD in glass.
I like that. That's a shirt right there, man.
Yeah. So definitely, guys, like I said, go check out Garrett's channel. He could use the help right now. Just kind of give him a little bump in the algorithm, help him
Yeah,
out.
thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Just go like some of his videos and all that. Brandon as well. Excuse me, Brandon as well. Tabata Vision TV, Tabata 2. Go check it all out.
There's a lot of Tabata stuff, man.
And guys, check out my. It's just a purely little fun side thing. It's called Radio CHH. Just you type that in, it should pop right up. It's me doing vinyl rips. That's all it is. It's not really videos of me. It's just vinyl rips. If you want to, the reason I'm doing it is because a lot of times the vinyl mix of these songs is not only the best mix because there's no compression. Sometimes it's the only way you can hear the mix of that song. Like for instance, there's a song called "I Just Died in Your Arms" by Cutting Crew, massive 80s hit. The original mix on the vinyl, for some reason, it's not on Spotify or iTunes or on YouTube. They changed stuff. There's like swells that they took out of the original vinyl mix. So like I ripped that on my channel. You can hear the way the song was originally intended. So that's what that is. So again, not something I make money off of because I'm putting up songs, but I think it's fun. If you're interested in that sort of thing, feel free to check it out.
Oh,
So that's where we're at. Thank you guys in the chat. If you don't mind, again, just drop a like on the show before you leave. I'd really appreciate it. Born to be Red, Tabata Vision. We'll see you guys very, very soon.